Hello and welcome to Press Start Turbo.
Yay!
On this,
That was so fucking loud. What the hell?
clipped like right out. It cut out.
That you actually clipped it.
It also got out. It sounded like the grunt birthday party skull.
On this episode, we're looking at nostalgia and how it affects games and development. Then Billy talked to one of the devs of the game Gori, Cuddly Carnage. Then to finish things up, we're talking the System Shock Remake, as chosen by the Patreon. Joining me today, we have Brendan, Billy, and Julian. Wow.
And special guest.
Special guest.
Jewish Slenderman.
Okay.
Collect his 8 dreidels.
Light my candles, he
Featuring-
says.
Moses Slenderman. Let my pages go.
Is that what you've been playing? Is that your game, Billy? Is that what you've been playing
That's
recently?
my game. Yeah, that's my game. I've been playing Jewish Slenderman and Moses Slenderman. It's been a weird fucking it's been a weird night.
What do you think the gameplay of Moses Slenderman would look
You
like?
picking up, what is it, gefilte fish for like health pickups?
Oh my fucking god.
I don't fucking know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know enough about
Whoa.
Judaism. That's the word you're
Hey,
looking for.
I'm ESL. I'm allowed to
You
be.
could have gotten away with Jewish culture as well. That would have
That's
been
what I was
okay.
gonna say, and then you started.
No, but you
screeching.
just said Jew and then stopped talking for a second.
Hey, you can't say that.
Yeah, hey, I've got Jewish friends. I can
Yeah,
say
because
it.
I was looking for isms.
This really is the gamer podcast, huh?
This is I love how focused we are today. It's great.
I'll get Sam to tell me it's okay.
Oh my god.
I woke up like 30 minutes ago. Y'all don't have any excuse.
My excuse is that I'm actually in a rush.
Well, then how about you get us back on track?
Yeah, then what game have you been playing, huh, Mr. Rush Boy?
Welcome to the cell, fellas. Time to talk about the games we have been playing this week. We have about 1 minute, although let's be real, we never pay attention to the timer. So I've been playing Gori, Cuddly Carnage, and it's actually what inspired the theme of the episode, because that game is probably my favorite thing to come out this year, maybe, question mark. It's so neck to neck between Gori, Cuddly Carnage and Dragon's Dogma 2 for me. I absolutely adore Gori. Gori is a hack and slash hoverboard platformer that has so much God of War and Devil May Cry DNA. It's fantastic. It's so unique. It's really hard for me to like describe it because there's just so many elements about it. It's like $20. It feels like a game from a completely different era. An era that doesn't really exist anymore. Like, it's such a complete package.
Whenever you could make a game like Blinks the Cat.
We actually talk about that in the episode. They didn't even know what that was.
That's fucking funny.
It just happened. It just happened, and then they were like, what the fuck is Blinks? And then they learned that Blinks the Cat was a thing.
Oh.
But yeah, no. It's fantastic. There's a demo out right now. I think everybody should at least try to play it because it is such a complete package. There's so much shit going on. The speedrunning is fantastic.
It has to have been over a minute by now.
Yeah, it's way over a minute now. He's going with 30 seconds over.
Play it, fuckhead!
I've been playing I Am Your Breast, also known as I Am Mr. Beast, also known as I Am Your Beast.
I've seen so many clips of this on Twitter.
So normally I'm a little hesitant to stroke myself off for stuff like this, but I have had an active hand in willing this game into success. Billy can attest to that.
I like to think I helped a little bit.
Oh, no, you
too.
definitely helped too.
I remember we were talking about
This doesn't count towards the minute, by the way.
I mean, I don't care. Like, when it comes to this game, like it's from friends of the show. It's Strange Scaffold. It's Zalavir.
Yeah. Strange Scaffold, the
Yes.
satellite indie development studio. They're friends of the show.
Known for click holding.
Yeah, the co-host of the
Yeah.
other podcast I'm come on Sam, as well as Zalavir, who was a previous guest, and a bunch of other people who I know and I'm friends with are all part of that studio, and they worked on this game.
Yeah.
And it's really, really, really fucking good. And yes, I'm very biased in saying this, but I would also be very quick to tell you that there's multiple games they put out that I'm not really a fan of. I really do want this one specifically to succeed.
Name them.
That's okay.
Name them.
I'm gonna be entirely real with you. It's because I don't remember the fucking names of them.
Oh, damn. I'm telling.
I'll fucking tell them.
The reason why we have been pushing this game a bunch is because I remember playing the demo and thinking like, holy shit, this is like fantastic. During the Steam Next Fest, I think it was.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking like, this is like so fantastic. If they fix a few little problems with it, it can be like all timer. Dude, what the fuck happened? Like, I don't know what crack they're on. They fix every single problem I had with the game, and now it feels like
It's insane.
it's insane. It's a
fucking
video game that is
incredible.
it's a perfect video game.
So, okay, we can start my minute now.
Yes.
Holy fucking shit. I love this game so much. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. I have not been able to put it down. It's actually been hurting me in terms of like getting work done. It is detrimental.
I have a question. Have you also like been to bed and just stared at the ceiling thinking about it? Because it kind of happened to me. Sometimes I'm
lately
literally in bed.
Lately, I've been getting zooted out of my gourd, and I've been playing Astro Bot whenever I'm ready to go to bed. So,
Oh, okay. So you're fucking fake fan.
This is gonna sound derogatory, but I promise you it's not. It seems like the perfect Twitter game, if you know what I mean. Because like the way that you can present that game in just like those bite-sized clips of people doing like a level and then that back and forth. I saw in your replies there was this back and forth between two people who are just one-upping each other.
Three people now,
just one-up each other on this one level by like points of a second.
I gotta talk about that shit, dude.
Explain what it is exactly.
Okay,
first,
yeah. Remind me to come back to that.
We're saying a lot of like, this is so good.
Yeah.
But,
okay. So
you know,
I Am Your Breast is a video game, notes of Hotline Miami in a way, except it's nowhere near as punishing. It is a game with short levels most of the time. Wherever the goal is usually some variant of get to the end of the level or kill everyone in the level and then get to the end. It is one of my favorite examples of style equals substance rather than style over substance. The game is all about being as efficient as possible in clearing a level, as well as doing it in the sickest fucking way imaginable, because the scoring system directly incentivizes it by taking time off of your overall score depending on how cool your kills are. So like
it's a speedrunning game.
Yeah, it's a speedrunning game. It's I am in love with it. I cannot tell you through words alone just how good it is. You have to see it in action to understand, because the style of this game is unfucking matched.
If you're on YouTube right now, just look at the screen right now. That's my really terrible gameplay, but even really bad gameplay.
I'll send you good gameplay instead.
No, my I got S ranks. I was just kidding. Fuck you. You're so mean to me all the time. All the time.
Take your eyes off your fucking Hades 2 run and look over to your second monitor.
I don't care. If you're listening on Spotify or whatever the fuck, I don't care. Look this game up. It really needs more people looking at it. Actually, you know what? Not anymore. We've kind of helped with that.
Yeah, we're actually...
Anyway, your minute's up, Julian. Shut the fuck up.
No, this one gets more time. This one gets more time.
We already
gave it like 5 minutes.
Okay, so the Twitter... So the Twitter thing. So I took it upon myself to yell about the game a whole bunch because it was underperforming a little bit at the start. And I was like, that's not okay. We're gonna change that. And so I post a bit of gameplay on Twitter, and I'm just like, you gotta fucking play this. And then like someone responds to me, and they're like, hey, you know you can get a negative time score on this, right? To which I respond, fuck off. To which they respond with gameplay of their score being like negative 2.3 seconds or something like that. You can be so efficient in this game that that like killing people so quickly that it takes the time off the score dips it into the fucking negative. And someone responded to that guy with a better time. And this went on for like 48 hours. You know, at time of recording, it's actually still not done. Someone might still like beat it. I'm convinced in my heart of hearts that we were seeing like an actual world record competition unfolding in a Twitter thread. And like it got to the point Towards the end, it looked like a fucking task run. It was incomprehensible what was going on there. Even developers of the game were watching that footage and they couldn't fucking tell what was happening. I know because I showed it to them and they couldn't tell on call what was going on anymore. It's fucking incredible.
Thoroughly impressive game. Speaking of thoroughly impressive games, wait, is there a demo? Wait, before we...
I think there is a demo, but either way, the last thing I'll say on it is that it may look extremely daunting based on the gameplay, but the cool thing about this game is that you feel like you're fucking awesome even if you suck dog shit.
Yes.
Because the game feels really good, and it's not incredibly challenging. So it's very friendly to newcomers, but it scales up extremely well to your skill level, whatever it is. Go play it right now.
Speaking of badass games for cool people, Brendan, how is Funko Fusion?
I can't wait to dedicate as much time to this.
7 worlds.
Did you play the entire game?
Umbrella Academy, Jurassic World, The Thing, Battlestar Galactica.
Why are you playing Evil Bizarro World Astro Bot?
Julian,
It's Sloptember.
I still have 3 more worlds to say, and I'm trying to remember them now. You threw me off. I gotta restart. Umbrella Academy, Hot Fuzz, Jurassic World,
Hot Fuzz?
Battlestar Galactica,
Yes.
He-Man.
He-Man?
Let me see. God, did I say Jurassic World? So Funko
Yes.
Fusion has 7 main worlds. And also it has cameo levels and cameo quests. It's a game that is it's supposed to play like a Lego game, and it just does every bit that a Lego game would, but instead of Legos, it's Funko, which is traditionally known for building, right?
Yeah.
Wait, is there actually like building like...
It's not
the
like
fucking-
full like Lego building. You get like... You have to build like the gimmick item for each level. So basically every level has a gimmick item that you have to build to be able to complete the puzzles. He-Man has the portal. Hot Fuzz has the CSI blacklight detector. Umbrella Academy has 3 gimmicks because of course it gets 3 gimmicks, even though Jurassic World's gimmick is just a battery. Scott Pilgrim's gimmick is an amp that only the Scott Pilgrim characters can use. And then also on top of that, if you want to access any of the cameo levels or the cameo quests, which are separate things than the 7 main worlds that have 5 to 6 missions each, you have to go into free play and unlock the other world's pieces to be able to do those. So you have to play through the whole game if you want to get to Five Nights at Freddy level or the Nope level or the Jaws level.
Is the KFC level locked into collab zones or whatever?
KFC, I don't know how it works yet because I haven't beat it yet. I have 9 hours in Funko Fusion. It plays a little bit like doo-doo depending on the level you're doing. The only enjoyment I found was the Hot Fuzz levels are actually kind of fun because the gimmick is so simple and it doesn't like extend its stay beyond what it needs to. And I found Chunky from Chunky in there. That was cool.
I have one
Chunky?
question alone.
From Chunky.
I have exactly one
What
question.
does that mean?
Chucky.
Oh!
Do you believe that the people who worked on this game passionately really wanted to make a great video game?
I think that
Do you feel passion behind this project?
I think that there are moments where it felt like they tried and they really wanted to do it, but there are also moments that feel like they were locked in the pain nexus for not delivering upon their Funko over. There are moments where you have to do puzzles in like He-Man's level with the portal, and half of the time the portal doesn't work, and then half of the time the portal will select the wrong portal, and then they set up like timing gimmick puzzles in the He-Man level that aren't in any of the other levels. Every single like world feels and plays differently. The ones I've done so far are I did He-Man, Hot Fuzz, Jurassic World, and I just started Umbrella Academy, so I have like 3-4 left. Oh, and Scott Pilgrim. Because Freddy Fazbear's cameo level is hidden within Scott Pilgrim's level.
That's weird because I watched a friend play the demo and Freddy Fazbear was hidden in the Thing level.
Yeah, they changed it. There are cameo levels and cameo quests. Cameo quests are different than the cameo levels. Cameo levels are like actual like their own levels contained within the game. Cameo quests are you have to find the character and then you have to find them 7 more times in the other worlds hidden after you find them the first time in the world they're hiding in.
Wait,
so
7?
like 7. So you have to find Chucky 7 times. I found him he's in the Hot Fuzz level, but then I had to find him in the FNAF secret level, and then he jumps into pizza boxes. You have to find him 8 times and like do his pizza box, his like hide and seek bit to even be able to unlock him. Mega Man has to be escort mission to his dog roller skater 6 to 7 different times. Xena is found in the He-Man level, but you have to go through the other levels to find the Xena spots to be able to do Xena's like combat
Warrior
stuff.
Princess
yes,
Xena?
Xena Warrior Princess is the cameo
But why?
quest in He-Man, but not the cameo level in He-Man because I haven't found the cameo level in He-Man.
I'm gonna jump off a bridge.
And every single
Have you
world.
found Gru or Minions?
No, I don't think there's Gru. I have to find.
Then
the-
what's the
buying
fucking point?
Oh, why would you lie?
There is
what? There's
Invincible
not.
though. There's
Why
an
would you
Invincible
buy?
cameo level. I have to find the Invincible cameo level so I can unlock Omni
Oh,
Man.
I did see Invincible. I did see Mega Man as well.
Every single world ends with the same kind of boss fight where you fight a giant creature and then get his purple goo to put his purple goo into a machine that summons a character from that world. So for Hot Fuzz, you summon the giant swan and it's actually funny and it feels like they tried because the swan fight is Big Swan fights Gigantic Cop in Tiny City, like at the end of Hot Fuzz.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, this is fun. But the He-Man level is like Scare Glare and Ghost, and then you summon Bing Cringer, and you have to Bing Cringer into Big Cringer, and then Big Cringer
the fuck
fights
up
Big
right
Skeletor
now.
Scare Glare, and then like Jurassic World, it's like, oh, summon the
What is he
T-Rex to fight
saying?
the Onomatopoeia bot.
What is he saying?
You have to
What
collect,
the fuck is
and then
he
on top
saying?
of that, to unlock a character from Jurassic Park, you have to collect 42 pieces of amber to unlock him, and to unlock Colonel Sanders, you can either go to KFC and get the Funko Chunko code for the Kentucky Funko chicken, or you can get his Kentucky Funko buckets of chicken to unlock Mecha Sanders.
Shut the fuck up. I literally don't want to listen to you anymore.
This is what you hear from the bottom of the pit in the fucking Silence of the
Funko
Lambs
Fusion
movie.
is the most consumed product video game I have played in my life, and I've played Homefront.
There's no way it's worse than fucking Hyenas in how cynical it is.
I played Saw 2 Flesh and Blood this month, and I would honestly replay that entire game rather than go back to play Funko Fusion.
Oh, that game is awful.
I played Catwoman
Holy
yesterday after 2 streams of Funko Fusion,
Oh
and
my
I
God.
sit down and
It
I
was
beat
refreshing?
Catwoman. It was refreshing comparatively.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
A refreshing, crisp taste
I
of
will say, if you
Catwoman.
don't have
Don't
like
say
if,
words like that in that order.
if you do not have like a foundational basis for what a Lego game is, you may actually enjoy Funko Fusion because everything in it is basically derivative of Lego, like to an incredible degree. Like they do the Lego head jokes, but sometimes there's Funko gore because you know at the end of Hot Fuzz where the guy gets
It's
the
true,
spike through his head, that happens in the Funko version.
Yeah, there's like weird
Cool.
gore, but I thought it was a video game for kids at first, and then it
There-
just happened.
the way they get away with it in Hot Fuzz is anytime there's gore, except for in the ending cutscene, there's bottles of ketchup around the decapitated Funko heads.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
No, because the thing, I saw the thing level, and the thing level 100% has gore when you shoot at them.
I have yet to get to the Funko Thing Dog boss, but when I see that Funko Thing Dog boss within my sights, I will defeat
Unwell.
the Funko Thing Dog boss until I am well again.
I would like to formally apologize to Invincible fans. I forgot what Invincible was, and my mind auto-corrected to Divergent for some reason. Remember Divergent?
Oh, I thought you were going to bring up Sony's
random.
Sony series Powers.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, see, I'm hitting you with a deep cut. Somebody's going to know what Powers is.
We gotta move on. We can't keep talking about
Anyway,
fucking
Funko Fusion
Funko
is a
Pop.
miserable video game. You can play the demo, and if you have no experience in Lego games, I would only recommend it if you are knowledgeable about the thing that are in there, like the thing, because maybe you'll be able to derive some enjoyment from it. It's got local co-op, and it's probably funnier with somebody. Online co-op is slowly being rolled out, and I do hope that once it is patched, I think it'll be just like a great value Walmart
It's not
game.
out?
No, the online co-op is
the
like being
multiplayer game doesn't have
Walmart.
it's a great value like version of a Lego game. Like honestly, there are people who worked on it and you can feel that there's care in certain worlds, and then other worlds it's like go to the He-Man world, unlock your Chunko Funko, He-Man yells He-Man,
Stop saying Chunko
collect his
Funko.
power plant.
So, Brendan, the review is if you reach your hand into a bargain bin and pull this out and it's $2.
This is a game that I would definitely get out of the $10 bin at GameStop and be like, wow, there's way more work into this than I thought. But also at the same time, I am miserable and I'm dying. I need a medic bag.
This has been the single longest 4 minutes of my life. Anyway, I've been playing Sea of Thieves.
Wow.
I played it way back when it came out, but my partner's just gotten into playing video games recently, and she really want to play it, and it's been really interesting getting back into it with someone new, and seeing all of the different changes they've made over the course of 4 years now.
Oh,
if
God,
not
has it
longer.
been 4 years?
That game's been chugging for ages. But there's so much new shit, and they've changed so many things, and it's weird because they've made a lot of quality life improvements, like having the quests at the dock instead of having to go to each trader. But it also feels like it's less of less. It doesn't have the same quality that did of okay, I got to go to the gold traders to get.
It feels less immersive because they've made it easier.
I'm doing
to
a lot
do,
more
yeah.
menuing. Just in
I see.
At the docks rather than going to the person and talking to them and getting quests. But it still has the same design and stuff like that, and you can choose which quests you get, so it's a lot better in that way. So you're not getting the shit ones that you hate. The game's still beautiful and really fun to play.
Do people still ram boats into you and then yell slurs before they board your ship?
I haven't seen a single person. Single other
Whoa,
person. And
what?
I think this is
Wow.
due to a feature that they added on your ship where you can sign up. Basically, you can do matchmaking to get into combat, and they've added these different modes for combat, which I think has taken away a lot from the actual open world experience.
I don't know if I like that.
Because
From a player base who can get annoyed, I can understand the want to
Yes.
have some kind of easy private playing so that you don't have to worry about that.
yeah, but there's already private game worlds. I was playing on the open one, and I just saw nobody. And I get that the loyal player base really wanted these separate zones and wanted to just do their missions, but also it's taken away a lot from that emergent gameplay that was my favorite part, was in a fucking ship, you see another ship, you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, or you
start yelling Shrek 2 quotes at them.
yeah, your ship's full of loot, and you're like, oh my god, I've got to get back to Outpost, they start chasing you, etc. But yeah, maybe that's just because I'm playing on OC servers and there's not that many people, but who knows? I'm hoping I can get to see that, because that's my favorite part of the game. Anyway,
Yeah, I agree.
What
It
do
is
you
the
what do you
best
think
part of
about
the
Sea
game.
of Thieves vis-a-vis Skull and Bones?
I think
Have you played Skull and Bones?
I haven't
No.
played Skull and Bones either. Oh, I also played the fucking Pirates of the Caribbean mission that they added to the game, and it was literally, it felt like I was at Disneyland doing a Disneyland ride.
That's fun.
With
That's
even
fun.
the
That's cute.
person over the loudspeaker saying "Dead man tell no tales," and he repeats it
wow.
5 times.
That's okay.
Did
Yeah.
what did your significant other say about the game? Is she enjoying it, or does she hate you now?
I unplugged my headphones. I
Lord.
didn't hear any of that.
Cameron, real gamer question. For Sea of Thieves, what do you think about it utilizing is it horizontal progression versus vertical progression?
Fuck does that mean?
The way that instead of unlocking getting in better ship, better Gunga, you instead are unlocking skins
Gunga.
and it's customization and leveling up to do harder missions just out of skill.
That was a lot better on launch when they didn't have a paid shop, and now there's a paid shop, and the way that it works is if they've added new mechanics like pets and stuff like that, you have to pay for them, but all of the old clothes and stuff, and there's still a wide swath, but it still feels kind of shitty, because it's wow, I've played a shit ton of this game and I'm really good and I've got all this gold, but I can't spend it on a fucking monkey, and it's really messed up.
Can't spend it on a monkey.
What's the fucking
Bro,
point if you
that's
can't
real.
spend your 5 million doubloons on a funny little monkey?
I got a free monkey from Twitch Prime one time. That was fun.
Wait, you lost your monkey?
No, I got you. They gave you one for free if you had Twitch Prime at some point.
I remember
the purple
Sea of
monkey.
Thieves.
You had to look like you're a fucking
fruit.
Twitch shill.
Freaking dweeb.
I remember spending money in Sea of Thieves because I wanted to have a cat when I played. Then I named it Hamburger, and then I would use Hamburger and shoot them out of a cannon every once in a while, and it was a lot of fun. Okay, so if you have pets in that game, you can just fire them out of a cannon, yeah.
Hamburger or hamburger?
Hamburger.
That's
Hamburger.
awesome.
You know, it's Brendan. You already know it. What the
Dude,
fucking
I
answer
got
is.
2 cats. They're named Truck and Beals. I'm amazing at naming pets. I don't know what you're talking about.
Truck is just a perfect name.
He's a truck update. I'm sorry. I want to make clear.
No, I
he
want
is
a truck
4 months.
update.
He's 4 months old, but he's the size of a 6-month-old. He's gonna be huge.
Oh my god, he's living up to his name, bro.
He's gonna be like Banjo. Banjo's a big fucking cat.
But yeah, to wrap that up, I am a big fan of the horizontal progression, but the thing about it is that it relies on that emergent gameplay and actually seeing other players to make it worthwhile.
That's what I was thinking of when you mentioned that you didn't see any players. I feel like the horizontal progression works from like a player versus player enriched environment. And when you take that out of it, when you're like, oh man, I hate getting attacked by people losing my gold. I understand the frustration in like getting a bunch of loot. I've played the game and I do understand that frustration of like losing all your shit after doing like hours of work. But also, like, that's part of the game's core experience, and removing that feels like it's just, why even play the game to pick up a crate to bring it to a guy? Like, you're just playing a warehouse and logistics simulator at that point. Just go pick up a forklift license.
It's not even that they've removed it. It's that they've just given the players so many different outlets and choices that the main way that you used to play is just so watered down, because you can like, oh, I just don't have to deal with that. Oh, I can go do that. Or like, if all I want to do is combat, they have literally like a combat matchmaking thing.
And so they've just kind of like segmented the game into basically like little like slices. The game used to be a whole pie.
The best part about that is that sometimes you find another ship and they're friendly and you team up and then you do quests together, and they made a way that you can
make friends and meet people, which is so tough in modern. Like in modern gaming, it's so hard to make friends, especially since most people, like me included, like will just mute mics so you don't have to deal with other people.
I had so many good interactions with randos, especially when you're in a bigger ship and you see a smaller ship. You're like, oh, well, I'm not gonna like beat them up. That'd be rude. Like, you know, you come help them out, give them a little toad.
Or the psycho inside of you says, I will kill you. I will kill your sloop. I will destroy you.
You might be the nicest person of all time.
You might be the kindest Sea of Thieves player out there, honestly.
Honestly, back in when it launched, there were dozens of us.
There were a lot of nice players.
Oceanic, like, you guys are nice.
But that's different, Cameron. That's different because, like, the launch energy of a game is magical, and it is not representative of the game whenever it like settles down.
Yeah, now it's just like, full of bullies and assholes.
It's crazy. You know, to draw it to our main topic, it is crazy how I already have nostalgia for a game I can still play now, but just the state of a game and how it was like years ago.
Dude, Justin Funk TF2 video?
Yes.
The whole takeaway of that video was just like, yeah, I can still play TF2 right now, but I miss the community and the energy around this game. It's just not the same anymore.
I would grow out of it and just move on if I'm...
honestly, I would just start paying my fucking taxes and stop living with my mom.
Are you still playing video games? Good God.
That like hint of the nostalgia too just reminds me of any time I boot up modern Minecraft, and in my brain it's just like, if we could turn back time... to the good old days.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like nothing's changed at all?
This is awful.
Julian, you just hit the delay pedal and Brendan was your fucking backup.
I can't believe we're the press start tenors. This is crazy.
But yeah, Brendan, we're looking at nostalgia, specifically how it's affected like modern games and development and like the way it looks, even from a player perspective as well, and like how
I'll talk about mine first because I wanted to keep it while it was still warm in my head. One thing that I have seen a lot in like modern gaming, because I've played a lot of slop too, is there is so much Silent Hill and Resident Evil nostalgia to the point where it gets so intermixed in so many different indie horror games. Like, it's incredible how many like just little itch.io games that I've played that just take from both games and mix them into this horrible homunculus of like 50% silent. I mean, Signalis is great. Like, Signalis absolutely does that as well. Where it's a good balance, but there's so much where I've like played and it's like, why is this? Why have you done this? What is this PSX horror game? Why am I like in a sauna? What am I doing? Like, why does this need to be Silent Hill?
Your name is Jonathan Fart, and you are exploring a hospital, but it's not any kind of hospital.
It's a freaky hospital.
That gurney just moved.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like you've been here before?
And in your restless dreams. Yeah, it's I mean the only I've had like little positive experiences with it here and there, but it is genuinely, if you go into like itch.io and you look up like PSX horror, how much of it has like Ouroborosed itself Or like when it first, like the PSX horror genre really started and so many people were making these games that were like, oh, it's got like a VHS filter or they're staticky and it's like PSX horror. But now it's kind of Ouroboros where like games that are getting like games that are inspired by Silent Hill and Resident Evil are being made by people and who are
never...
No, it's like games being made that are like nostalgic for games that are being made that are inspired by like it's like PSX horror that is inspired by PSX horror that is inspired by PSX horror to the point where it's like it means nothing, like it's just the snake has completely disappeared, it's imploded, where it's just like, this is PSX horror. What do you mean? I'm walking around and I talk to a guy and then I'm running from a scary clown, but it has a PSX filter on it, and that's the bit, is that it's low poly.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you keep playing the scary clown game on repeat, dummy.
I do. It is my fault for playing Poop Killer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Listen,
and then Poop
I
Killer
don't want to be
Origin.
mean or anything, but it fucking 100% goddamn is. Stop playing Poop Killer.
Do you feel like it's like they're looking at that's like the atmosphere that they're trying to capture rather than specific mechanics, or like?
Yeah, because when I think about Signalis, I bounced off of it the first time, and I definitely am going to go back and give it another try at some point. It's on my like big list for October to try Signalis again, because I didn't like how some of the inventory stuff worked. My issue with Signalis was literally just I just didn't like how so much of it was picking up keys, and then I would just have to constantly run back to a safe box where I was just like, I didn't, when I first played it, I was like, pick a fucking lane.
I mean, they changed that.
No, I know. My first experience with it was negative, because in my head I was like, pick a fucking lane. Silent Hill, Resident Evil, pick a fucking lane. But then I grew to understand, talking to people that played the game, beat the game, and loved the game, that I was like just being stupid poo-poo gamer head.
Actually, if you drove in the middle of the lane, it was really exciting for a while.
It was really exciting, yeah. Oncoming traffic is no worry. But I do think that a lot of it...
halfway into oncoming traffic. They can veer.
Yeah.
They can veer.
I'm playing European Truck Simulator with an American truck. Grow up. I think that with the games I played, I think it's more about the aesthetics, where it's just like low poly, like static, and then loud noises, versus actually picking up like the theming. Silent Hill 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, even though I played it as an adult like last year or 2 years ago, and the message of that game resonated deeply with me. The kind of like coming to terms with yourself.
What was the message? I'm checking you.
Coming to terms with your trauma. They got witches. Like it's like about growth and development. It's a witch game. The story doesn't matter. I have no media literacy. Can't wait to play more Funko Fusion
game.
More like fart.
True.
And see.
But like that's. I actually had to stop myself, because I wanted, when I played that game, I wanted to replay it over and over again to basically hammer it into my head permanently, and I didn't. So I'm going to, do that eventually, where I like hammer it into my head multiple times. I just played it and I wanted to sit with it, and I was like, wow. But not a lot of PSX horror has done that, where I've played it and I've sat with it and been like, wow. Another game that like really does resonate with me in that same way, though, that is based on like nostalgia, is Voices of the Void. Which like is
I've heard a lot about that. I think that might be the game I am most recommended at all times.
It is so. I should have talked about it in the last press start that I was on, and I didn't get a chance. I'm not going to dwell on it, because you guys, obviously, I don't want to like eat up all the time here. But
okay,
Voices
Mr.
of
Fart.
Well, like Voices of the Void is very inspired by like Half-Life video games. It even uses Half-Life SFX. But it is also based on like Signal Simulator. You are a researcher at a station who is trying to find like alien signals, but then stuff happens. There's even, you can play it fully seriously. There's like a serious mode, but everybody, I think, for the most part, plays like the funny mode. So like you have a certain amount of days, you collect signals, you package them, you sell them. But on top of that, there's fishing, there's grilling, there's driving around and repairing the satellites. There are secrets that you can unlock. There are things that happen. Shadowy creatures randomly attack you in the middle of the night. One day I was playing it.
It's still in alpha, according to the fucking itch page, too.
It is. One day I was playing, and a giant scream echoed from the sky, and meat started to fall, and I started collecting the meat. I put it in my kitchen. The game has, Julian, you'll love this. The game has a fully functioning 3D printer that you can import actual 3D models into and print them into the game.
What? That's so cool.
I spent $31 on a Sheldon Cooper model to print into the game, and it crashed. But there is a full repository. This game is genuinely going to be the next big thing, and I guarantee it is an exciting game. It's just a little esoteric to start. There's like God, there are just so many things that I can talk about this game. There is a gravity gun that you can randomly get when a ship crashes that'll make like picking up objects easier. You have to constantly like care about gasoline and fuel. Your base can get infected with cockroaches.
I have a question. What is it about this game that's like very nostalgic? Like, what is it that is nostalgic? Is it like the gameplay? Or is it like
the aesthetics of like ragdolling around reminds me so much of my time playing like Gmod, playing Half-Life. Using a crowbar to open up boxes, but also like doing physics puzzles to unlock different things. The tutorial alone has its own like 30 hours worth of content.
Is it very steeped in the Source engine?
It doesn't use the Source engine. They lovingly recreated it to make it seem like it's in a Source engine game.
What?
It is created to be like a Source engine game without using Source engine.
Fuck yes.
I think that is probably one of the next big like nostalgia like pumps. Is that kind of like Half-Life thing? Because like, I mean, you've like played Abiotic Factor?
Yes.
Like
Abiotic, yes, we did.
So because like that game is just completely like it's going for that Half-Life 1 aesthetic and with the scientists and the setting and all that stuff, but it's doing a completely kind of different game, but it's set in that big fucking scientific factory and all of the different roles and stuff you find.
It also does something similar to Voices where I'm a big fan of new weird media. I love Control. I've read House of Leaves. I love this kind of like esoterica.
Oh, you played a Pacific Drive?
I did play Pacific Drive. I liked it a lot. I should go back and actually beat it. I played Pacific Drive, but I had a problem because I don't have a license and I don't drive, so I have a problem. Yeah, me when I'm in the car womb. Mitsubishi, more like Mom Tsubishi.
Stop! Shut
me
the
when I
fuck
gotta
up!
get from one into the womb to the other real quick.
What the hell?
Oh, fetal driver license. But yeah, Abiotic Factor does something similar to Voices that I really love, which is it's steeped not only in like Half-Life's nostalgia, but it also utilizes elements of the new weird, like this kind of like liminal in between space of like the idea of the back rooms and the like your the back rooms, your Banalog horror, your Banalog horror. It's got this aesthetic undertone to it that is incredibly pleasing to me because if I found my true Mecca, it would be a smooth concrete room with dripping faucet and like an old desk with a DOS box on top of it. Like it's just just lock me in the concrete room and let me sip on the water and I'll be a happy little creature, right?
I don't know why I was expecting you to say lock me in the Torment Nexus.
Lock me in the Torment Nexus.
You say that a lot.
I do like the idea of being locked in the Torment Nexus because if you're feeling pain forever, at least you're feeling something.
Yeah, I just
Jesus.
It's a really great like collection of syllables. They really roll off the tongue.
I do like words that way.
You got me thinking about the aesthetics of games as nostalgia. And there is something sad to me about the fact that the PS1 aesthetic is like kind of overplayed today because it's a really fun one, but you know, as with any visual aesthetic, it's very easy to lean on it as the pull rather than a tool. And it gets me scared that I know in my heart that it inevitably is going to happen to other aesthetics that I want to see explored more. Like PS2, Xbox, piss filter. It's like it's gonna happen.
I've been saying this for years. I've been playing like sloppy 7th gen games. I've been saying we are right on the zenith of like PS1 6th gen nostalgia. We are going to enter.
Give it 5 years. PS3 games are going to skyrocket in value.
Haze reboot. Why do you think I've been bought? Why do you think I bought Haze?
Dude, I'm so pissed off. Haze is not an Astro Bot. They got fucking intelligent cube before they got Haze
That's
in
why
there.
I was like, no Haze in there. That was one of the most popular PS3 profile pictures.
They got fucking Vib Ribbon in there, but they don't got fucking Haze.
Shut the fuck up! Don't talk shit about
technically,
Vib.
Haze was the first part.
I love Vib, but come on.
Haze was still technically like a third-party title more so because Ubisoft owns it. Like I found an original Haze calendar that I'm like waffling about buying because it's $60.
Haze calendar?
Yeah, but it's got like one of the months is like the Raving Rabbit getting killed by the Haze Trooper. It's because it's like a Haze merchandise bundle where like you can get one of the original cans of energy drink Nectar, but it's opened, and then the calendar. I was just looking at it earlier today, but it was $60 and then $70 with shipping, and I was like, I couldn't pull the trigger on it.
Brendan, my buddy Rio sent me an eBay listing a little while ago.
The Haze Mints. They sent you that because I posted it in the VC that I'm in with them.
So nearly looked that up. You bought the Haze
bought them.
Mints?
That's why I posted them, because I bought the Haze Mints and a cover spread of Haze.
Oh, you got it. Okay, you got to make a video. You got, because like I was so tempted because I was like, I kind of want to make a YouTube short. I want to review the Haze Mints. I want to know what these are like.
Have you got them, Brendan?
I'm using them for a stream because at the end of September, I've been doing Sloptember and I'm streaming the Haze campaign again.
Holy fucking shit. That's so perfect. That's awesome. They're so expired. I gotta know what expired Haze Mints taste like.
Are you gonna play Fuse next?
Fuse? It's on my list, actually. It's not for this month.
I knew it would be.
Have you played the original Rage on stream yet? Because that'd be a good one. Cool.
This month, I've played like Saw, Flesh and Blood, Megamind, Scooby-Doo Mystery Mayhem, Mercenaries 2, the Xbox version, Alpha Protocol, Total Overdrive, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Bro, you got. Oh, I was just about to say Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's like peak slot. Okay, wait. Did you play the PC or the PS2 version?
The Xbox version.
Okay, you got to play the PC version. It's a different game and it's just as bad.
This is why, like, I would love something in my brain really wants, I guess, the PS1. Ooh. Like the PS1 nostalgia to end into PS2 nostalgia, because that's like my area of expertise is like getting into the slot mines.
Same here. Oh, you got to play Over the Hedge on the PS2. That one's dog shit.
When it comes to nostalgia for like different eras of gaming, because like what we're seeing a lot of right now, it used to be SNES, and now we're very firmly in PS1 and Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Nintendo 64 is pretty new. Like we've just started seeing like more and more people like looking at like
Pro Country's more PS1 because it's tech controls. It's
a crossover. A lot of it's like rendering stuff. It's got like very like it's got like pre-rendered vibe.
I would look more at like Pseudo Regalia, like a lot of those platformers that are getting popular.
When it's N64, it's jumpy. When it's PS1, it's shooty.
I think a lot of that is just because the PS1 has a bit more of an like immediate like look to it. The weird Z buffer shit is just like a really interesting visual artifact. The N64's limitations are a little bit harder to nail in on because they're a little more subtle. Yeah. But I'm happy to see that people are focusing on it now. It's really fun to see.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of not sure what it's going to look like when we go into like PS2 nostalgia. I feel like right now, the closest thing to PS2 nostalgia that I've seen of recent memory is this game that just came out called Hollow Body.
We looked that up.
It looks very, very, very Silent Hill. And also, I heard it's good. I haven't played it yet, though.
Welcome to podcast moment number 87.
Oh, I think this was a Nick's Fist demo.
Oh, this looks fucking great.
I haven't played it, but I have just seen like in general the aesthetics and everything, and I was just like, oh god, that is.
Hollow Body is on my list for next month too. I did just see that.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Resi 4 as fuck.
What?
No, that's Silent Hill as fuck. That's Silent Hill as fuck.
I haven't played Silent Hill. I'm just talking about like graphics generally.
I mean, that's the graphics.
Well. Listen, I'm on.
Do you need to play Silent Hill?
Look up Silent Hill 3 right now, and you're gonna see immediately what we're talking about.
Right.
But I'm happy we're seeing more and more like gens being like people getting nostalgic for those like Gori Cuddly Carnage. For me, is like an Xbox 360 AA game.
Okay.
I also think it's interesting that we're kind of seeing this renaissance of that kind of, not specifically AA games, but that kind of styling of what a game is like. Like I think about...
We are, though. We are, Cameron, because AA game, in my mind, is like a metric of like relative funding and team size, right? Like these terms are all made up bullshit anyway, right? So I'm just going to project my personal meaning onto the phrase. And so when I think AA, I think like honestly like a step or two above maybe Strange Scaffold tier. Like Cuddly Carnage is a perfect example, like that fucking what's that the Samurai Jack game that came out a few years ago from Adult Swim.
Wow,
that's like peak AA. I think it just has to do with like it's definitely still indie sized to a degree, but scaled up because it's like, oh, there's a big IP that they're tied to. or like they got a lot of investor funding or whatever the fuck, right?
I was specifically thinking about like Space Marine 2, because like that game probably has like quite a bit bigger of a budget than what you would typically classify as AA. But yeah, then it has the small the scoped campaign, and then it also has like that I don't want to say tacked on, but you know what I mean when it, it has a PvP element and that extra content stuff where it's like, okay, clearly this game was made as a single player campaign first, and then they're like, we have these mechanics, what can we do with it to like add on to the package, that kind of thing.
What's kind of crazy to me thinking about it is that Astro Bot, if it came out 15 years ago, perfect example of a AAA creation. Nowadays, really good example of a very properly scoped, small-scale, debatably AAA experience. Because, yeah, it got a lot of fucking funding. It had 3 years. 60 people worked on that game.
Yeah.
That's it. And, like, that's a small-ass number by today. That's, like, a remarkably small number. I don't know. The scales have ballooned to such a degree that it is insane to think about, like, the fact that these terms have just scaled up alongside that. Like, the kind of thing that we called a AAA 20 years ago is cute by today's standards. It's adorable.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I'm talking about Space Marine 2, I'm trying to compare it to a game, or thinking in my mind comparing it to a game like Spec Ops: The Line, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, the budget and scale is completely different for like what they're trying to tackle and the fidelity, et cetera, et cetera. But like when you're looking at the total package, they're delivering very similar things. It's just that because of the way the industry has gone, the scale has just gone insane in terms of what they're trying to do.
No, but we got to have like the most awesomest graphics, though. You must consider.
Surely you must consider.
But like the thing is, like with the success of, I mean, to get it back, to go off a bit, but like it's like, like I hope that the success of games like Astro Bot allow for the right lessons to be learned here, but like they probably won't be.
Well, judging by its sales in Japan, I wouldn't be too hopeful, but I do also agree with you. I hope that is something that happens. I hope that too.
It's so crazy to me actually to talk about Astro Bot that game is as good as it is with the way that it works.
It's so fucking phenomenal, dude. It's unbelievable.
Yes. And the way that it like is, it's crazy to me that like considering what the pitch for this fucking thing is, I am just floored that it is so not cynical, because it could have been fucking Funko Pop Brendan game. It's like
Funko Fusion.
It's crazy. It's insane. The amount of genuine love coming from this game never stops surprising me,
It could have been a Brendan game, but instead it's a Billy game.
Oh, they should have put Mithrigan in Astro Bot.
They should have had a haze level.
Isn't it crazy that in Funko Fusion you can get Megan Man's gun and you could use it as Mithrigan, so you're Mithrigan Man?
Megan Man?
Yeah, because you can get Megan Man's gun and you can be Mithrigan Man.
I'm so sick of you.
The line between an earnest, like, representation and look back at the catalog of PlayStation games and like a celebration of them versus like a corporate cash grab, like, don't you remember this thing kind of game is so thin, and the way that they skirt it without ever dipping beneath it is kind of crazy, and how consistent it is throughout the experience as well in doing it.
There's like one or two inclusions that I'm like, okay. But like for them, but that's probably mostly just because there are PlayStation properties that I really
like. What?
Listen, the last level being fucking Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, fuck, come on.
I mean, I also rolled my eyes, but the thing is, I understand why.
Yeah, that game sold shit tons.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why too. But whenever that is the closest to like an industry plant video game we're ever gonna get. I don't mean that actually. It's just that's just how it fucking feels. Who the fuck? Name one guy who you've ever met who's just like, I
know one.
Really? You know a guy who's just like, I love Horizon, dude.
Like one last thing about nostalgia and how powerful it is. Yeah. Specifically about Astro Bot. I mean, it's been how many weeks? 2 weeks by the time this comes out. So there's going to be a spoiler. It's a spoiler for the First World collab. When I was able to play a fucking Ape
I
Escape.
knew this was
Yeah.
coming.
Dude, yeah, I'm sorry, but dude, I couldn't believe it. Like, it's actually insane to me that
it's a crazy
Yeah.
pull. And it's so perfect for that
it's not
game.
a crazy pull. It's just like, dude, I haven't played a game where I was smiling like a fucking asshole the entire time.
Oh, dude.
I was like,
Yeah.
I actually felt like I was gonna start crying because of how much it meant to me that they actually acknowledged
You were crying like a nerd when the first like Star Wars movie, the first new Star Wars movie
bro,
came out. You're like, yeah.
kinda, man.
Whenever you were crying whenever you saw Mithrigan on the Funko Pop because you know what that is.
I know. I was like, oh my god. That's what I said. I said to myself, holy shit, I know Mithrigan. We covered that movie on
Pondering Spooky Tapes,
Pondering
the
Spooky
show.
Tapes.
How do you?
This is a perfect example of what we're talking about, though, because like, they could have opened with fucking Uncharted or Horizon or God of War or whatever else. They're all in there, but the choice to start, like to introduce the concept of a custom level as a reward for beating a boss with fucking Ape Escape is such a clear tell that they really, really, really just wanted people to play the Ape Escape level.
I do know that Ape Escape, some of the Ape Escapes, Japan Studio are the ones that were previously like.
Oh yeah, which
Sony Entertainment
is a
yeah.
shoot off of.
Yeah, so there are some staff of Ape Escape and Loco.
That's fucking awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's why they have representation in Astro Bot that go beyond just like,
Hell yeah.
just like look at it.
All right. Well, anyway, to wrap it back around, this is pretty damn relevant to the interview that we did, isn't it? Right? We're talking about
it is.
nostalgia and like scoped down AA feeling ass gaming.
Yes, that's exactly what I did. I talked with John from Angry Demon Studios, and we talked about fucking Gori and how much I love Gori and how much they love making Gori, and it's fucking awesome, and it's coming right now.
Wow. Put in the comment section what game you're nostalgic about.
Give us engagement.
Hey, this is Future Billy. There were some issues going on with the recording, so at the start it kind of gets crackly from time to time, but I promise you it fixes itself very quickly within like the first 2 minutes. So if that doesn't bother you, just listen through it. It's a fucking awesome interview. And if you don't listen to it, I'll fucking hate you for life. I'll hate you so much I'll get mad. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the interview portion of Press Start Turbo. I got rid of Cameron, and now we have an angry demon in the studio. Hello, John.
Hello.
How does it feel to replace Cameron? How does it feel to be the new host of Press Start Turbo? He was dragging me down. It's fine.
The long con finally paid off.
Wow, that's an insane long con. The podcast has only been alive for 6 months.
I've been working it from the dark for 6 months now.
My
plot has finally come to fruition.
So yes, today we have John, who is the co-founder of Angry Demon Studios. You guys just released Gori, Cuddly Carnage, but before that, you've released mostly, from what I've gathered, from what I've played, a lot of single-player horror games. And would you like to tell us how Angry Demon Studios was founded, Mr. Co-founder?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, Mr. Co-founder. I'm going to add that to my business. Mr.
Oh, absolutely, Mr.
That's Mr. Co-founder to you, sir.
People are going to think you're absolutely insane. I don't think I've ever gotten a business card that just says Mr. on it. That's a sick power move.
Right,
though.
and it's Mr. Co-founder. And it's like,
Absolutely.
right. Sir Co-founder. It's like, dang. Enough about my proper distinguished title.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my name is John, and I'm one of the 3 co-founders of Angry Demon Studio. We've started our entire trajectory, so to speak, in the games industry in university. The University of Skövde, shout out. And so in second year, we got the opportunity to make real like game projects through school, and we did, and it was awesome. And I was just like, we have to do more. Like me and my group, we made a short horror game called Notes of Obsession, which it had a lot of players, and and people just really enjoyed it. And
Is that available on itch.io or something
yes,
like that?
it still
Yes?
is.
Okay.
It still is. So that's like our second year school project.
Oh, that's cool.
And the thing is that I was in the group that pitched the game. So basically, like, you put together a game pitch, and me and some other of my friends, I was like asked by one of my friends, like, do you want to be in my group because I want to pitch a game? And then we talked like, what kind of game do you want? I was like, I kind of want to make a horror game because I was really into horror games. And everybody was like, you know what? Yeah, let's make a horror game. That would be great. And we pitched it, and it got elected. And we got to make it, and after that, I was like, oh, we have to make more. So I asked some of my friends, like, hey, do you want to like make more games? And they were like, yeah, fuck yeah, we want to make more games. And we started making we did the prototype for Unforgiving and Northern Hymns.
Yes, that's your folk horror game.
That's that's Swedish folklore horror game. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
We released that back in 2017. We started development of that project back in 2016 or 2015. I can't really remember when we started, but basically it was during the summer. We just started prototyping, and then we kind of developed so we started developing the prototype at the same time as we did our bachelor's thesis. Or
Yes.
wait, did we do the? Ah, man, I got my timeline all jumbled.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
My brain is so
COVID
fried.
happened.
Yeah.
A lot of things happened.
Yeah, it's like time
God
just
knows
vanished, right?
Oh yeah.
So we dropped it. So basically, we had the premise that we had like the mission to. All right, so we need to go through green light. And back in the day, Steam, now anyone can get into Steam. You just pay a fee or something. But back in the day, you had to go through the green light process to end up on Steam.
How actually was the Greenlight project? I think that's the first time somebody mentions the Greenlight process, and I'm really interested in that because everybody growing up around we're old men.
Yeah, right.
But oh god, but all of us, like we've been on Steam. We've seen how there was this initiative to get indie games on Steam. How was the process to actually go through that?
So basically, we submitted our game to the Greenlight process. We made our page and stuff, and when we had the demo available, we just published that demo, and we had the demo kind of direct to the Greenlight page.
Yes.
From people, it would be approved through the Greenlight process, and that meant that you would have a Steam page. So basically, it was like, if we can get to Steam, we'll make the game.
I think Discord's having a problem, but if it doesn't go on the literal biggest platform in the world, yeah, I see what you mean. But it did succeed, and what happened after that?
So we did the thing there, and then we graduated, and then we kept working on the game. So yeah, we released the game, and that basically laid the foundation of our studio, releasing that game, our first game, and then we went on and making our second game, Apsulov End of Gods, which is also a first-person horror game that revolves around the Norse mythology. So it's basically we call it our sci-fi Viking horror game.
Yeah, I always thought it was such a the theming is so perfect. It's something I've never seen before.
Really, really glad you like it, and I hope others will too. So yeah, we dropped that game in. So it was the 8th of August of 2019.
Yes.
And right after that, so we did the patching. And it's so funny because how things have changed for us and how things just have changed in the world. I remember for both Unforgiving and Apsulov, our patching was that we were just watching Twitch players, and every time they encountered the bug, so we had a Twitch stream on the screen, and every time somebody they encountered a bug, or if they got stuck because they didn't know what to do, We just, because it was only Steam as
Yeah.
well, we just patched the game overnight. So basically, it was really funny. So we watched this streamer playing the game, and they got lost, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get back to it tomorrow." And we patched the game, and then I got back into the game, and there were like new pointers in the morning. It was like, and we would just like tee hee. And one guy,
Yeah, it's just like you feel so mischievous for doing something
Yes.
like that. Yeah.
and it's really funny because one guy doing Unforgiving, he was like, I'm lost, I don't know where to go. And then he quit the game and then came back and was like, that light was not there yesterday. I was like, spooky, right? I just added it.
That Twitch is like such a powerful tool for game development. It's especially for indie game development, because indie game development, like, you don't have the same resources and QA as a big studio. So just being able to watch a stream and be like, oh, people are having trouble here.
Yeah.
We can literally fix this overnight.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
so insane, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so that's and that's something we still do. So, we still have watching streams and checking out. But that was basically all we had back then, and now we have more platforms, so everything is like vastly more complicated.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, so we did Apsulov, we did the whole patching thing, and then we started working on a prototype for our next game.
Here's my question for you. How do you fucking go from a tradition, like I'd say traditional, like traditional first person adventure horror game into what I consider to be like such a unique premise of this fucking cat on a skateboard, and the skateboard is your weapon, and it's a hack and slash game, but it's also a platformer, but it's also a skate 'em up. What the fuck? How do you go, like, what happened? What the fuck happened between that game and Gori?
It's like, let's do all the games. And we were like, yes, we're going to do all the games. But yeah, so when we did Apsulov, that was our last horror game there. One thing that we really wanted to do was explore more of a mechanical approach to a game.
Yes.
So basically, when we started the prototyping, so the first thing was basically that we were like, all right, we're going to base this game in one mechanic. That is where it starts. So our question was always, what do you do?
What mechanic would that be?
Yeah, so it's like, what do you do in the game? So it's like, earlier we had more like theme. It's like Swedish folklore, future Viking horror, and then we kind of worked from the theme. But one thing that we never worked from is, what do you do? So it would be like, so if it would be like, oh, you explore a story, it's like, then it's story driven, but then it's not mechanically driven. We want to have something mechanical. So we literally had a whiteboard, and we just everybody went away, and they just
it's
gathered
time for the
ideas.
mind map.
Yes.
Oh, it's time for the mind map.
We listed 100 ideas on the board.
Oh my god!
And then we actually processed every single one, and they had. The thing is that it was always, what do you do? So some of them were like, I can do one example for once, for one, as to not, would be feel kind of weird to being like, hey, somebody else had an idea that we didn't pick. It's like, but one of the ideas that I had, which we didn't pick, was basically like, I'm a fan of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And I was like,
you're so, yes, dude, you're so right for that. I am
a huge fan.
Let's do it. What are you doing after? Want to do a movie night?
Heck yeah. So I'm a huge fan of with the horror and everything. I was just like, somebody has to do something with like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, whatever. And luckily we didn't, because Killer Clowns from Outer Space actually, there's a game now.
They actually got a game out.
And it's like, so I'm kind of really glad. But in that case, it was like, it's Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's so cool. I love Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And then the question came up, like, but John, you always ask, what do you do? And it's like, I don't know what to do. It's just a theme. It's like, I have no idea what that would be. I have no idea how it would work. So that, that meant that the idea got scrapped.
Yeah.
And then we had like some ideas where we're like, all right, so we have what we do. And then we gathered those ideas and we kind of took them forwards. And also, that's when we started like really getting into the ideas. It's like, all right, so what do? You do this. All right, but can we do it? How can we scale it? We didn't talk like this back then, but it was kind of like how the conversation was going.
Yeah, it's like how to push that specific mechanic to its
Exactly.
logical extreme, and seeing like how you can push it in, like, because it that's one thing that you see a lot is just like, oh, this is what if we had a game that was this mechanic, and it's like, yeah, but how do you sure, for one level, but how do you push that for like an entire
and that's
game?
The hardest
that's
one.
The hardest question to
answer. And that's
answer,
something,
always.
honestly, I don't know anyone who has actually managed to do that, because it's always like, it's like, oh, it's gonna be this, and it's gonna be this scope, and then the scope always grows, and everybody does it. Everybody tries to underscope. Everybody I talk to always say one thing. Yeah, it's like, for the next project we're gonna underscope, and then
that never
surprise
happens.
Yeah, even if you try.
Surprise,
but I guess trying is the best part, because if you try, at least it doesn't grow out of proportion where you just can't handle it anymore.
Because it's really easy to just keep adding. Like, oh god, it's the easiest thing in the world to just keep adding more and more. But the thing is, at one point, all that stuff's going to have to get implemented, and all that stuff is going to need a budget.
Yeah.
And oh man, that's not going to happen.
Right. So we did that, and basically that was our new approach to it, and we did that. We went through the ideas and we picked one, where it was basically like, okay, so combat on a skateboard. That's where it started. And then it was like, but what if we do a hoverboard? Because the combat, if you have wheels, you always have to be constricted to
grounded
wheels. Yeah, you always have to be like, when the wheels touch the ground, you can. So like, let's do a hoverboard, because that means that it's always in the air and you can do these crazy things. And then we started like kind of feeling our way through all of this. And honestly, like, I'm the game designer. I'm not trained as a game designer. Like, I did game design for our horror games, but that was kind of like, since it was very much like event based, like, and then there's this cutscene, and then we tell this story, and then we do the thing, and we have this mechanic, but it's kind of a shallow mechanic, but that's all right, because the story's gonna carry it, and the theme and the execution and stuff, and then we got to this game, and it was so different. And it was for me, it was kind of a lot of trial and error. It was like, basically, I remember when I started like the whole game design thing, it was like, I need to become a game designer. So I just looked at the university course, and I was like, what are all the books? Give me the list of all the game design books.
You just gotta, it's just time.
Yes. And I read them all.
Really study.
Yeah, and I read them all in 4 days. I remember, like, this was actually for Apsulov. I was like, I have to learn game design. This is really hard. I was like, I've read all the books in 4 days, so at least I had some.
Yeah, at least you have a little bit of. You're not going in completely blind.
Exactly. Because I did work like with another game designer way back when, and I learned a lot from this person. And then it was like, now I'm on my own 2 feet, So fortunately, I did have some, training wheels on before, and then I came into this. But it's like, I need to know more. Anywho, so we kind of started just feeling our way through it. So, and in 4 weeks, we made a prototype, which was basically an arena combat where we put our old main character from Apsulov on like a block and just made some animations and had the knife. That came out and stuff, and then we just we tested that on people, and they had a really, really awesome time. It was like, and then that's when we knew that we had something. We just needed to work on it. Yeah. And then from there, it's like, how did all of these things happen? That was a long journey. So we had the mechanic, but now we needed to kind of get that mechanic into a full length game, and that's when everything changed.
What's the game loop?
Exactly.
What's the set? Like, it's just so many questions.
Indeed, and that's kind of like where the naivete, because when we, our prototype was vastly different from what we wanted to make in the end. Which was so that was a stupid thing. So basically, we just had to, like, the entire project of Gori has kind of like been feeling our way through it. It's like, kind of, first we kind of like, we pushed the game, and then we had the game. But when we had the prototype in June of 2020, that's basically it was like 3 months after COVID, which has also been dang.
Yeah,
you know?
that probably did not help.
It
with,
did not. So
the development
basically,
of
yeah,
this game.
us basically we were in an incubator, the game incubator here in Skövde.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big shout out, and also a great help to us.
What is the game incubator?
It's a place where if you are approved for this program with your project, you get like office space, computers, and just business support.
Is this government funded by the Swedish government, or
Honestly,
is it a?
I never really grasped how it worked. I'm probably
That's totally fine. Honestly,
it was like
if it works, it works.
right. So it's a great thing. I know they told I'm gonna get killed for this, but they're gonna have my head for this. But I don't. I have very little knowledge of what goes on under like how it works. I know it's probably like funded by governmental things, but then in Sweden we have so many things that they're like part of the government, but they have names.
Oh, it's like different departments, or
and they can be called stuff, and sometimes these entities, they are owned by government, but it's like a private thing, but they are owned.
That's
kind of.
I see.
So it's like sometimes it's hard to kind of follow who owns what and who does what. So anyway, but we were in this incubator with other companies. So they were like 3 other companies at our floor of the building. And then COVID hit, and everybody just it was when it was going down in Italy. And when people were like dying like crazy down in Italy, everybody just went home. And we were like, if we go home now, like honestly, we did not have the funds to pause the game development. It was basically like, if we pause the development now, we just have to, call it. That's it. We just have to call it.
Yeah, it's gonna kill the studio if we.
It would definitely have, but as it turned out, everybody else went home and started working from home and stuff. So the only little studio that couldn't work from home, they were the only ones in the building. Everybody had gone home.
So you could do like a proper splitting the studio into different very far away.
Like we were isolated. We never met anybody else. We only met each other, and then we implemented guidelines like, if you feel the least bit of sick, you stay home.
Yeah.
Everything like that.
Just being extremely careful about it.
Yeah. Exactly. But we never met anybody else, so we would never jeopardize anybody outside the studio, and nobody from outside the studio would get in contact with any of us during work hours. So we were like, let's keep going. So we did. So when we had that, that's kind of so we released that one, and that's kind of when the game started kind of telling us what it wanted to be. I know that sounds weird, but it's like,
no, it makes sense. Sometimes your project takes life of its own, and then it's that moment of flow during while you're creating something where it's just becoming so natural, and the project tells you what it wants, and you just say yes. It's that moment of flow where the project will tell you.
Exactly.
I get what you mean.
So we knew back then, and that's when we did the prototype. Like when we started it, we kind of knew what we didn't want to do, and we knew what we wanted to do. Like, we wanted to do a game that's just way out there. It was just supposed to be fun, and we kind of had this thing. And I remember because I was stuck in the horror game design thing. And the thing with horror games that I feel is that it's such a narrow line to walk. It's like walking on a razor's edge, and it's if you it can't be too much, because if it's too much, it's going to take player out of immersion. But if it's too little, it's going to get boring, and the players, it's going to take away the immersion.
It's a tightrope to make a good horror game.
It is. It was really, really hard, and and just the creative process was kind of because we did, we did base it on already existing content, Norse mythology, Swedish folklore. And it's we have to be faithful to the original content, but we also have to make our own spin. And then, it can take the play out of the immersion. And was and with this one, when we started, it was so we had a brainstorming session. It's how do we spawn the enemies? And we're like, in Devil May Cry, they kind of crawl out of the earth, they crawl out of the ground because they're demons, because, of course, a demon would crawl out of the ground because, hell, below.
That's where hell is.
Exactly. And we were like, what do we do? And one of my friends pitched like, what if we spawn them in like using gacha balls, these little toy balls? And I was like, no, that's too out there. And I was like, wait a second, this isn't a horror game.
Who cares if it's out there?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and that's kind of like, what we wanted was just like, we could pitch ideas and they could be like all kinds of weird. But as long as it at least fit in the genre, and like as long as it fit in the game, which was very broad, like there were a few things that just didn't fit.
Would you say that development for Gori was pushed by maximalism in a way where it's like just throw everything in?
Yes.
Not like literally, but because obviously you can't put everything in.
Yeah.
But like in a way where it's like if it makes sense and it's not too insane, just put it in.
Yes, that was basically it. So one of the things that I felt was the most like difficult with Gori is that technology has, like enabling technology has been so like it's so easy to get. Like we have Unreal Engine 5. We have all of this technology.
Ray tracing.
And it's free. You just there's a license to it, but you have to sign that. But you can just get it. And the same is like one thing we've seen now, for example, for prototyping, the Unreal Engine marketplace, like for assets, like just for prototyping. When we did prototyping before, we had to do all the blockouts, we had to do everything ourselves. Everything was made by hand. But basically now it's just like.
Kit bashing.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So,
just to explain what kit bashing is when you take a bunch of different models from like free models or free animations from the Unity or Unreal marketplace, and then you use them for prototyping, or you don't need to use it only for prototyping. But that's what kit bashing is. It's taking a bunch of different kits from those marketplaces to help you in development.
Yeah. So basically that, so all of this technology is so like, it's so easy, like it's there. It's so easy to get. And then there's like documentation. And that's also something I remember when I was younger, like I wanted to juggle, I had to buy a book.
How to juggle for juggling for dummies.
Right. I had to buy a book, and I had to buy like a DVD or a VHS tape. That's VHS tapes. That's how old I am.
That's how old, dude. I had a karate. When I was a kid, I had a karate VHS tape because I wanted to learn how to do. Oh man!
and if you would look at them now, you would be like, "Wow, this is really, really bad.
This is awful. Who made this?"
Right. and the thing is that honestly, like. I remember, like, for example, to go back to the juggling, it's not like I just, you know what, I'm going to be a juggler. Basically, it's more you went into a bookstore and you found how to juggle, and you're like, this sounds kind of fun. So it was like, so many things were not like just readily available to everyone all the time. You had to like get it at a store, and if you wanted something specific, you had to ask the store clerk, can you order it? And it's like, yeah, we can order. It's going to be 5 to 12 weeks before we get it, and it's going to be like this much money. And I was like, well, shit, yes. Anywho.
It's going to be like $40, $50 to get this documentation, but nowadays it's just like it's documented by the company, free online right there, and you can just do it. Yeah.
And it's like right now it's like YouTube. And it's like I want to do this. You just go to any search engine and you're like
the greatest teacher
making games, and somebody somewhere will have done it basically for I say that all things like from beginner to intermediate, somebody has already made. When it comes to advanced, that's when it gets a little bit slippery.
It gets dicey. You gotta go scrounge those forums.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to scrounge the forums for specific functions instead. You can't just be like, green screen.
And,
It's
and
like
does it work with your version?
exactly.
I don't know if it does. It
But
might.
there's just so much stuff to us. So and that's I remember when I went to school. That's when Unreal Engine turned free. That was like the first time we had a lecture, and there was a guy from Unreal Engine like showing us blueprints and stuff. Like he was from Epic Games, and he was like, and also in 1 month, Epic like the Unreal Engine is going to be free. And it's like, what? And that's when we started working with that. But like before that,
Yeah.
I think like a game engine was like $5,000 or some shit like that. Like nobody had like game engines. Unity were free, but we wanted to use Unreal Engine because it had the it was cool to us 3D
Yeah.
artists. It had the node-based like shader programming and
Node-based
stuff.
programming that's a big deal.
I
a
can
big
tell you,
deal.
it's been a
Yeah.
lifesaver to me since I've programmed all the shaders in Gori, and I could do that
Yeah.
with
We're not
nodes.
programmers, so I totally understand it. Like when I used to do work on like audio departments for video games, to like I don't know how to program. I don't know shit. But node-based programming? Oh, dude, I understand that. That's you take the bubble there, you put it there, like in out. That's it. We're done.
Perfect, right?
It's very like node-based programming is so important for creative.
It is. So it has its limitations.
Yeah, for sure.
But to me as a game designer, and stuff like that, and like 3D artists and stuff, like it's great. But now, so we had all these, and I remember like like when we did Gori, as you mentioned, like now that we had all of this technology, we had like we have so many assets. We still had to make a shit ton of assets custom to fit the vision, but so many of the basic stuff was like readily available to us. Now the ideas is like the most important. So, and that's something that I've seen a lot in the indie industry lately. Like, it's not the execution, it's the idea. I love execution, and we just can't help ourselves that we want to make we just want things to sparkle and shine. But so many games are like, they're fantastic games, but they're completely made out of store-bought assets, and they don't really have a graphical style, but they're fun. And that's the most important thing of a game. That's the most important fun part of a game is that it's fun. So we just had the as you mentioned, the like maximalist approach, where it's like the best ideas had priority, because it was like, that sounds really cool. And that made everybody just like go, yes, absolutely. And then it was just a question of how we could get it there. But ideas were really king, and that's something that I can tell you, like the creative bird out for this game is real. Because it's always like, how do we do this? It's like how?
Because now that we're this silly, we have to match the silliness.
Not only match it. It's a new level that comes after. It has to be better.
We gotta bring it crazier. It's gotta be more.
So
more. Always
like
more.
We did the levels in chronological order, and then it was like, this is the best level we ever made. But then number 2 had to be the best level we ever made, and then number 3 had to be the best level we ever made, and then sometimes it was like, we've done a lot of editing as well. For example, we did level 4, which is like an underwater kind of level, and I think we cut out about like 10 to 12 minutes of gameplay because it wasn't fun. Yeah, and it's like, it's like, is it better? Is it better than the third one? No, it's not. It's like, shit, it has to be better than the third one. What do we do? And it's like, and we just started editing, and we've done that quite a lot for the game, just kind of trimming the fat and stuff. So that's really long story about that, but that's like that's the kind of how the approach to the game is, and kind of how it has developed, and that's why it has all of these things, because it's like, for example, it's like, this game accidentally got this thing. This is how people play it. It's like, okay, so that's another approach that we didn't know about. Okay, we'll have to flesh that out.
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
For example, like first time we dropped the game as a demo back in 2020. we
Yes.
saw that people did not play the game as we intended.
Oh, I see. So like people were using mechanics in different ways,
Yes.
and that pushed you guys to explore those mechanics in different ways.
Exactly.
Okay, I see what
exactly. So it's like people are playing in a different way, and then we just double down on the way they played instead.
Okay, yeah. There's a pretty famous thing about Warframe doing that, where people were using creating this tech for their movement system, and then they really went deep in it and started implementing tutorials on how to use that tech.
Yeah.
And yeah, for sure. And how did Gori? How did the actual world of Gori start taking? Like, when did you guys decide it's a cat game?
That was actually quite early.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm the character artist as well, and I was like,
Yes.
I don't want to do humans anymore. I'm done with humans. It's
Yeah.
like I kind of lost. I did a lot of human characters and stuff for our other
Yeah.
games, and I was kind of like, I got kind of like sick of
It's
it.
time for something new.
Exactly. So I was just like, I'm not doing human characters. That's just that's just a fact.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so we need something else, and then we personally, I love cats, so I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Oh, I love cats as well. I love Gori's design is so reminiscent of like Blink's the Time Cat. And
funny trivia about that.
Yeah.
None of us had actually played Blinks or seen
Oh,
it.
really? That's crazy because it looks so similar.
I know, and honestly,
But
that's a complete that was like, oh, so people had to tell us, and it's kind of funny. But the thing
huge
is,
boom though. Like, dude, people love Blinks. I love Blinks. My mom loves Blinks.
honestly, now I love Blinks. But basically, it was like people like it's Blinks, and I was like, oh.
Oh no.
Honestly, like Gori was actually like at the beginning, and I just remember this. Gori wasn't supposed to have goggles. He was supposed to have this kind of Iron Man-esque thing. That's what I kind of had envisioned for the character.
I see.
So
Like,
it's
a big mask.
Yes, exactly. But it was
okay.
just impossible. It was like, there's no way we can do this thing. Like, I had a completely different vision for Gori, like, personally at the beginning. I kind of wanted this like, this cat creature, so to speak, have a... I wanted to have... I was like, maybe it's like mechanical. We do the thing, and it was supposed to have like a robotic arm or something. Maybe that would be cool. And then he can like get this like and I wanted this kind of Iron Man-esque mask, like in the intro scene where he's gonna drop out, and that's when it it's just gonna come out and like materialize, but that was just too much. That was like a Dead Space mask thing, with all the parts and stuff.
Okay, I see what you mean. Where it like drops down and it's all mechanical.
Oh
yeah.
It's like it's a plenty of parts, but it's like that was impossible, and that's when the goggles came in. So a lot of the design stuff has really been a lot of back and forth within the team. Like, I have my vision, somebody else have a different vision, and sometimes we must misunderstand each other, and we make a third vision, and it just worked.
a secret third option.
Yes.
And you know what? That's the one.
Exactly.
Totally. It's it's so interesting that, because in my head I always envision Gori as like somebody on the dev team's cat or something, based on someone's cat.
Well,
but you know what? Actually, he's based on my cat, because that's how I customized him into the game.
And that's also something we added later on. That was definitely not a part. Like, we didn't even have upgrades, but then it was like, we're gonna need upgrades. We're gonna need like this and that, and we and that's when we kind of incorporated the furs, for example. And then Caroline, our 2D artist, had this she went out to our community being like, post a picture of your cat. And then we gathered all of the cat pictures. Best day ever.
Oh, that's such a good day.
It was a really,
wish
really
that
good
was
day.
my job.
and then we just so we gathered all the cats, and we had this huge not mood board, but kind of style board, like where every cat with because a lot of cats look very much alike. there's the gray ones with black stripes, and then the
Tab, like you got Tabby, like they all have
exactly.
their own names.
And I know that there are like different cats, like with dogs it's like a poodle. It's really funny because it's like, yep, that's a German Shepherd, that's a poodle, and that's a cat, and that's also a cat,
and that's
It's just really funny. Yeah, it's just really funny. So to me, all cats are cats because I know nothing about like breeds and stuff. But the funny part,
I might know too much about cat
That's
breeds.
good. I like
if
that.
anything, realistically,
I like that. But yeah, so she gathered every single cat picture, and we kind of put them in different categories, And it's like, so we basically and from those pictures, I made concepts for how the first could look, and then I made the I implemented them so they would work with the fur and stuff, and that was really fun. And then we had different clothing options and stuff, and that was something that in the beginning I was really opposed to that because it wasn't Gori, our character. I was like, this is a character. You don't change heads on Dante in Devil May Cry. You don't change clothes on Bayonetta, I think. At least not in the first one, as far as I know.
I think you do, actually. But
you do?
I think you can... can't you, make her Link from Legend of Zelda or something?
Maybe.
I don't know, man. I haven't played that game.
Honestly, I'm not really sure.
It's possible.
But... Yeah. So I was kind of a little bit opposed to it, but then we made it, and I was super happy that we actually made it because these are really cool. I really like this, and I really enjoyed it. And I also everybody in the studio has a favorite setup.
Oh, for sure.
So it's it's this fur and this clothing, and that's the thing that everybody. So it's just it kind of gets a really It feels nice to be able to.
The customization really helps with personalizing Gori and everything. It really helps making Gori your own. And I think that's a pretty important part of Gori. The fact that it has such because just bringing it back to the overall theme of the episode, which is nostalgia and everything. Yes. It's such a nostalgic game because it feels like such a sixth generation
it is
game where PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, it's such a complete package, right? There are DLCs obviously, but it still includes so much customization. Yeah, and because in your spaceship you have all these closed doors, and these closed doors you find keys to open them in the levels, and it doesn't have to be a crazy, insane thing behind those doors, but I was still trying so hard to open every door because I was, you want to know what's behind that door, and behind that door there's a jukebox, or there's all these different little bonuses, and it feels like such a complete package. And just even the design of the game itself, everything about the game feels like it's from that era, and it's so refreshing to play a game that feels solidly in that era. And that brings me to one of my last questions. How did nostalgia drive the development of Gori? If it did at all, because sometimes it just happens from your past experiences.
I'm not really sure if I'm going to call it nostalgia and per se, it is kind of a nostalgic thing.
Yeah.
Man, that's the, honestly, I did not think, you got me. You got me, sir. Touche. Anywho, so from a game design perspective, one thing that I really missed was when I used to play games in my teens, and earlier, and even earlier, so I remember the first Devil May Cry, absolute first Devil May Cry game, and it just blew me away. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I was like, when I grow up, I'm gonna be Dante. How do I get white hair? And it's I should get a red leather trench coat. It's not a good idea, but it was it was so cool. And and I remember back in the day, a lot of those hero games came out, where they're where they're larger than life superheroes, so to speak. They're not real. They're so far from real. They're it's just an idea. It's the same with tons of animes and just movies and stuff, like the character in this movie is larger than life. Like they have no flaws because they're like a hero, you know?
Yeah, it's the giant hero archetype that where you're just like, oh god.
Exactly. And I miss that. I miss that so much, especially since, like, I know that when we started making Gori, I've personally, like, I've seen a lot of movies and a lot of, like, everything was just turning to making. It was like, no, they can't be this unreal anymore. They need to be realistic. They have to be human. And
Okay.
I'm not gonna drop any names of any specific shows, but I watched a show, and basically, like the entire premise is that the main characters did this to themselves, and now they have to fix it. And to me,
Yeah.
that was always something that was like, I personally, and I know that a lot of people like that, so I'm not saying that it's, everything is, it's like subjective, right? It's art. Art is like, you appreciate the kind of art that you like. But personally, I was like, I didn't really like that because I felt like, yeah, now you just kind of like, for example, if I go out and buy me a new car and then my problem is that I am in debt and now I have to fix it, it's like, sorry, dude, you kind of put it, kind of brought this on yourself. So I just really wanted to like explore like a time where characters were in a like, for example, like the Devil May Cry, like they still had some depth to them, but maybe not the depth that a lot of like.
Yeah, obviously.
Don't get me wrong. Like I love the latest God of War game. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
But I really miss the first God of War, where he just goes around and screams and just tears things apart because he's just angry. It's like, what's the main trait of this character? It's like anger, and then there's the and as you mentioned, like Dante in the early days, and
I see what you mean.
that was something that I really missed, and I really missed how the old combat systems worked. They it was super simple. They had like a little niche to it, but it was so easy as a kid to just get into.
It's something simple that's done so
Basically,
well.
yes. And sometimes it wasn't even made well. It was just cool, and just back in the day, you can always look at things with nostalgia glasses, and I remember like some games I'm like, I love this game, and I played it as a grown up, and I was like, wow, how could I? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, oh god, everybody had that moment of just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell was I doing?
I just remember these games like Sunset Overdrive, Xbox 360 was just amazing.
Oh
it was
yeah,
because they were just fun and quirky and just straight to the point, and it didn't have as many like, they didn't have the loot boxes and the all of the extra stuff just around. It was the game. And I remember that you bought the game and you had the game for like a few days, and it was fantastic. After a few days, it was over, and you just had this really fond memory of it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like really wanted to. I really like. We all really wanted that for this game. We wanted this game to be like a fond experience.
Yeah. So in a way, you did have a bit of nostalgia that drove the game, even if it wasn't intentionally. It kind of just, so what you're saying is it kind of just happened because of your past experiences and what you want from video games.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I bet, it's the same when, if we have James Bond, everybody has their own James Bond. Like the first James Bond you see, that's your James Bond. The first movies, like a lot of it's like core experiences. Like a lot of the time, the first experiences you have kind of like forms the taste, and those were just one of my first experiences. Like I remember, like the first experience that I really gripped me, because I used to play like Nintendo. I played like Super Mario Brothers, and it was fun, but it's not like it's not like God of War. It's not like back in the day. It's era appropriate with QuickTime events when they were new.
Yeah.
That was so cool. You know, you felt like you did it. I know that everybody overused and now nobody wants it anymore. But when with the quick time events in the first God of War, like the first time I saw like did that, I was like, oh my god. You know, it's like, you know, I was mind blown. It's like this is the coolest thing
Yeah,
I've
for
ever
sure.
seen. Like, you know, the intro of God of War with the Hydras.
With the Hydras,
you-
nobody's seen stuff like that.
and you just
it
pull
was
them
just,
and you do the button tapping to pull it down and like and just impale their
Yeah.
heads on the ship's mast. It was so cool, and I kind of wanted that back.
yeah, just wanting to have like that type
Yes.
of energy in
Like,
in
yeah,
Gori.
that, like-
I see that. I mean, that makes sense because that's how it felt to play Gori for me. Like there was just this vibe of this game is it's so steeped in the nostalgia. It's a game that doesn't it feels modern, and I mean, of course it feels modern because, you know, it's Unreal 5. There's a lot of like modern touches. Game design has changed drastically since PlayStation 2 6th generation, but it still has such a big it steeps in like such a in so much nostalgic like yearning for those types of
Yes.
experiences. And I think that's what's so golden about Gori. It's just exactly the type of game that a lot of us really want. And I really hope that more people check it out after this video, especially because incredibly cheap, like $20. I can't believe that still, if I'm honest. Like that's insane. It's such a complete package. Absolutely, please go check it out. There's even a demo,
Oh, yeah.
dumbass. Like, if you're listening, sorry I called you a dumbass, Mr. Listener.
Yeah, that's also something we wanted to do. Like, you know, and I remember those days.
Yeah.
Like, my introduction to introduction to gaming was always friends had consoles, as I mentioned, like the Nintendo, like the not Super
Yeah.
Nintendo, like the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. But there was always, you know, computer games. But I remember when I really, like, you know, started getting into gaming, and I actually, like, you know, got my first computer that was, it had like 64 megabytes of RAM. Oof.
Whoa.
Dude. Woo! That was the thing, you know, and it was always these demo discs. All I used to play it was the same
Yeah.
for the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation came with demo discs.
Oh, for sure. PlayStation
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Underground, dude. Those were very good at making you try new things that you would have never played. I remember playing trying out so many games off
Yeah.
of those games, and I mean that's how I learned about Gori. Because sometimes, you know, we have this show, so sometimes I want to check out demos to see like if there's anything interesting coming out. And that's how I actually discovered Gori. I just saw it on the PlayStation 5 store. I told myself, I'll try it out. It looks interesting, and that's how I immediately like bought it afterwards. You know,
Like, that's kind of
Yeah.
like what we want with it, you know. It's like, this is the thing, this is the game. If you want to try it out, you can do it right here. Because I know it's always, you know, same with computers. Like, you know, it's like, oh, will it run on my computer? It's like, I don't know, but you can try it for free.
I mean, it's really hard. It's really hard to tell if something's gonna run on a computer now.
Exactly.
That, you know, so many setups.
Exactly.
So many setups, and as an indie developer, you don't have the you know, AAA. Oh, they can just like get a billion computers and try it on all these different setups, and it's like, no,
And-
that's not how that works.
Or
for an
and it's
indie
like,
dev.
does
You
it run
can't-
on this? Does it run on this GPU? No, get a new one. It's like, you know, but I can't. Well, too bad. Then you're
cool.
not playing our game. It's like, oh shit, sorry. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like I kind of like I kind of miss the demo days, and I'm really glad that more games overall have demos. You know, so you can actually try the game out. You know, you can see if.
Mhm.
You know, at least you can get it's like a sample. You know, you wouldn't buy a perfume without getting like this little tube or, you know, the little stick with the scent on it, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel that, you know, that's something that we wanted for this game. You know, also like, you know, we have been using the demo for like since 2020 to like, you know, have it out there, have people play it, you know, get feedback, which is great. So a big shout out to the Angry Demon Studio community. Whoo! Those are the real champions, the one that has put up with our bullshit while we kind of get our things straight. And from the first demo to what we have today is such a big difference overall, and it's all because of the great feedback we've gotten. So as I mentioned, big shout out to the community. Big shout out to the Discord.
And I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to shout out?
Yeah.
anything you want to shout out during our interview about Gori?
Right. So yeah, if anybody wants to try Gori out, like, you know, as mentioned, you're a cat in a hoverboard fighting unicorns, and if you find that concept interesting, you can always try out the demo. It's available on all platforms, like it's on Steam and PlayStation 5, and it's also on the Nintendo Switch. You know, PlayStation 4, not Xbox 360. You know, I was downvoted on that one. It's like, no, we're not doing it. I was like, shit. And you know, a big thank you to everybody who has helped us over the journey. We definitely did not do this ourselves. So if you get the demo and want to check out the entire roster of people that has helped us with the game, like we're 5 in the studio, but you know, the community and everybody has helped us. You know, check out the credits. There's a long list there of everybody who has helped us, and also a big thank you to everybody who has streamed or played the demo over these 5 years. Same thing there. Like plenty of times we've all been in serious doubt. It's like, what are we doing with our lives, you know? And then we see somebody play it on YouTube and have fun with it, and you know, and that's just picked us right back up so we could finish it. So yeah, it's plenty of there's plenty of people to thank out there.
All right,
and also thank you for having me here today. It's been great.
No worries. I'm just happy to be talking about Gori. And now I'll pass the mic back to future Billy to talk about System Shock Remake. System Shock. 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 We're talking about System Shock today. The remake. I mean, and a bit of the original, as voted by the patrons.
Wow.
I do believe.
Was that your intro idea?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I thought you had
Fuck
something
you,
like
don't talk shit.
Okay, whatever.
Before we start, I do want to ask, like, before we get into the stink of things, how much have everybody played?
I beat that shit, and I beat the second one too.
You beat the second one too.
Yeah, they didn't make no remake of that one. I played that OG.
That's that OG freaking stank.
I played that one original hardware, original game, original gangster.
How much did I play? I think I played like nice.
Holy shit! I didn't know you could throat sing.
You're gonna guttural of that shit. Holy shit.
Of throat singing. Why is everybody always impressed that I can throat sing? I feel like it's such a
Yeah, you just.
That's not throat singing. That's different. Oh, this is beautiful.
I also played 2 hours of the original just to check it out, just to be like, let's, you know, look at the little differences and all these little things. Yes.
I'm glad that someone here has played the original, because while I was playing the remake, in the back of my head the entire time I was just thinking about, like, this is so fucking interesting of like a way to remake something that I've never quite seen elsewhere. And I have to just wonder how many liberties they had to take in order to make this feel palatable as a game that I'm playing right now versus a game that came out whenever 3D was like a new concept.
Would it be a lot if I just said that I think the original is... Oh, dude, I shouldn't say that. I feel like I'm going to get crucified if I say that. I can't say it.
Be diplomatic about it.
It plays like Dookie.
It plays like shit.
Yeah.
It's like so old, and it feels obsolete.
I don't think even Mandy would disagree with you on that.
I think
it's like pre-standardized like camera and walking control controls and it plays like Dooku.
It's antiquated.
I don't mind that.
You can,
I don't
you can
mind
just
that.
say it's antiquated. It's a relic.
Yeah, exactly. Look, people have opinions about that game from when they first played it, when it first came out. Old fucking people. And they're like, when this first came out, it was a fucking genre-defining game. Nothing else had been anything like it. You know, they have all these preconceptions, and we've just moved so much further past from that a lot of games do take from it, and it's clearly inspired a lot of people. But going back to it now, after playing the games that it has inspired, it is incredibly difficult to go back to because it doesn't have a lot of the quality of life features that all of the new games have.
Which is why the remake is such a beautiful, wonderful thing, is because it allows people, without, needing to sift through the crust of age, enjoy a version of that same thing and see through a modern prism where we came from, in a way.
Yes.
And marvel at just how forward thinking that fucking thing is for being as old as it is.
Yeah.
There is definitely like so many parts while I was playing the original where I was like, wow, that's crazy that they did that back then.
Yeah.
But they were also the originators, so it was kind of a bit of a stinky time. I didn't know. I don't know, man. It's old, it's aged, and it's fine. It's just that I don't think I could ever recommend the first game to anybody with.
Have you played the second one?
Yes, the second one is fantastic. Even it's kind of crazy.
Isn't it crazy how it's like the second one aged shockingly well?
Yes.
Like that first one,
Kinda.
I looked at gameplay of it and I was like, fuck no, absolutely not. But then the second one, running on the Thief engine, goddamn.
Phenomenal.
I don't want to get too off track beyond just the surface level observations, so I'll leave it there. But it is truly insane to me just how far we were moving, how quickly we were moving back then, for the difference to be so substantial that the first and second of a game feel like they were created in different realities.
How long did it take when did they both release? Did they both release close?
Relatively.
Because that would be fucking crazy.
I mean, hardware was moving so goddamn fast. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
They were 4 years apart.
4 years apart. That's
pretty fucking crazy.
Crazy. That's absolutely
technology was
insane.
moving fucking fast in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, System Shock 1 wasn't true 3D, if I understand correctly, right? System Shock 2 was like during the first wave of actual.
It was like id engined, I want to say. Like that fucking.
System Shock 2 was Thief Engine, and it was one of the first actual 3D accelerated games. It was like whenever we were first really pushing for that.
Yeah,
we got that voodoo card type beat.
Yeah, I played. To get back to how much we all played, I only played like 3 hours of the remake. I kind of bounced off it a little bit. And
why?
We'll get into that a little bit later. I'll let Brendan go of how much he's played.
For once, I'm not the fucking. I'm not the one that's coming in with a shocking revelation. Yeah,
yeah. I'm gonna scalp Cameron later in this
it's
recorder.
It's true.
Welcome to Scamp Camp.
Oh my god.
Wait, scalp? No.
Anyway,
I played like 3 hours of it like 2 years ago. Like cool. I have not refreshed it. Well, no, not like 2 years ago, like a year ago when it came out.
It came out a year ago.
Yes. Yeah. And I kind of a late addition to this podcast, so I did not get enough time to refresh my memory on it. But I mean, I liked what I played. I got up to like the medical center. You get a pipe wrench, right?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. There's a guy that says, is a man entitled to the sweets of his burb, right?
Man, I was not expecting to be the person most passionate about this in this recording. What the fuck?
I mean, it's cool. I played it a while back. I played the original way back on like a weird dumpy machine as a kid, and like I vaguely remember being like, this is freaking epic.
Yeah.
And then playing the remake, I just didn't get a lot of time into it, and then I just forgot about it, unfortunately.
You really should go back to it, man.
I know, it's on my list. It's on my big beautiful Brendan list.
Put it high on the list. It's art.
You would really, really like it.
I think I just got frustrated at a point with like I think I was going monkey gamer brain, and I was just getting frustrated with enemy spawns in one of the levels and then I just dropped it.
Oh yeah, you can't monkey brain this one.
You can't monkey brain it. I know. You have to actual brain it a little bit.
Yeah.
Has anybody played the pre-alpha that they put out years and years and years ago.
No,
I-
but I watched the Digital Foundry comparison video.
Incredibly, crazy how different it is.
It's so bad. It was also in a different engine because at first it was on. They originally the game was supposed to come out on, and it was made in
Unreal,
Unity.
right? Oh,
No, it was
really?
in Unity, and then they switched engines.
That is fucking crazy. Because the demo and the new one, there's so much shared. I'm not even just assets, like the lighting, the way it plays, the animation. That is insane. Wow.
I'm gonna be honest. When I played the original demo for the Kickstarter, the one on Unity, I feel like it's not that crazy to say that it was very not good.
Yeah.
It was pretty fucking bad.
Many would disagree with you. It was controversial. There's a lot of stuff that...
Was it?
Yeah. Because
Was it
a lot,
controversial?
I remember a lot of the discourse around that time. A lot of people were saying variants of there's a lot that it feels like they get it, you know? There's a lot in this that shows a clear understanding, but there's also a lot of weird decisions that are antithetical to the game in the same way. There's just a lot of ups and downs. Weird choices that were that were ironed out during the final release.
Okay, I see. I just remember hating it.
And that's fair.
Quite frankly,
I'd be curious to know what exactly were the hitching points for you.
Can't remember gameplay, but I can remember I thought it was ugly as shit.
Podcast moment number 187.
Shut the fuck up! You're so annoying with that. What the hell? I do remember thinking it was fucking ugly though, and that's one thing about this version of the game that you could never say.
Yeah.
The art direction is fucking phenomenal.
I could talk forever about it. I have never seen... I'm going to be a little technical and then I'm going to walk it back. But this game, my understanding of what it's doing here is it's using low-resolution textures but applying PBR shading to them, like proper modern shading techniques and modern lighting to retro resolution graphics and textures, which creates an extremely interesting aesthetic because you'll see the normal maps on different walls and objects, but they're super pixelated because there's no filtering of any kind. And in any other video game, you'd see that and you'd think it was a glitch, but everything in this game looks like that. At a distance, you might not even be able to tell that most of the assets are really low poly or pixelated, but upon walking up close, inspecting any individual asset, it becomes clear what they're doing. And I've never seen anyone lean into that weird phenomenon of clashing between high quality and low quality parts of visual rendering, I guess, generally, and have it work that well. It's crazy how...
I think it's so incredibly effective.
I feel like it should clash, but instead it's incredibly cohesive because it
changes the identity of the game, and it's so good.
It leans into its retro origins without being obnoxious about it.
Yeah.
It's simultaneously having its cake and eating it too, because it gets to be super high fidelity mega fuck graphics, but also it gets to be so retro, oh my god, star eyes at the same fucking time. And it works. It's so cohesive. It's such a stark, unique vision. Fuck. It's crazy.
Yeah. To explain for people who don't know, PBR is what your stepdad drinks before he beats the shit out of you.
Yeah, and your stepdad, while beating the shit out of you, he explains the other meaning for it, and he's in between the individual hits with his belt.
Beatings.
He talks about how it's a modern technique for basically just a single material that is applied to an object, having different properties that describe how it works in reaction to light. So how metallic is it? How reflective is it? Is it rough? That kind of shit.
It's pretty embarrassing that you're getting beat up by a nerd, by the way.
I mean, why are you as a man getting hurt by another man?
Oh my god, no, that joke became so rough, dude. Holy shit. All right, but yeah, no, that's one thing about this game that it immediately hit me, where I was just like, holy shit. The music also, it feels like it's actual art, man. It's crazy how good it is.
Yeah, no, the music, I'm surprised You probably have more to say than just that, right? Because I mean, the music, it does a lot of very specifically interesting things. Again, in adopting the melodies and tones and ideas and motifs of the original game. And
do you want to know what the original game sounded like when I
know
played it?
it's fucking goofy
It sounded
ass
like
MIDI. But like, and they managed to turn, but like you could take that in so many directions artistically, right? And what they chose is a really interesting one, which is like
They made it good?
no, they made it. They gave it the aesthetics of like an '80s B movie, like a B movie '80s action movie.
I played recently. I played fucking. You know what? It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, and honestly, I just realized my point was stupid and dumb.
Okay. Do you want
I
me to
know when
repeat
to
what I
shut
just said so you can maybe take it somewhere else?
No, let's talk about something else.
Okay. How do you guys feel about Funko Pops?
Whoa, that's too drastic.
I
hey.
they had a Shodan Funko Pop.
Okay. How do you guys feel about graphics?
When it comes to gameplay, it is one of the most addicting game loops I have. It feel for me. I apparently not popular, but not a popular take because Cameron disagrees. I assume, but I think that it is such an addicting fucking game. Every time like I go on another map and I see the security, it feels really good to see the incremental like what's it called, like security levels slowly going down. It feels so good.
Yeah, the slow unraveling of an absolute maze like hell world layout.
And also the drip feeding of like new powers, new augments, all that. It just feels incredibly satisfying.
It's interesting how it's got like Metroidvania aesthetics to it at times.
It has a lot of Metroidvania.
Back whenever that wasn't really a precedent.
Back when it wasn't called that, it was just called video game.
Yeah. When it was called fucking awesome.
System Shock is like widely regarded as like the godfather of all immersive sims, right? And immersive sim being it's one of those fucking nebulous genres, like a Souls-like in a way, where the definition of it is like so fucking wide that a lot of games that some people are like, oh no, that's not an immersive sim, or like this is and isn't. The criteria for it is stupid.
Yeah,
Cameron, I just want to flashbang you with words, and I want to see how you react. Like whenever I provide stimulus at you. There's this really awesome game you should play. It's an indie-inspired Souls-like, roguelite sim.
Oh,
don't forget Metroidvania.
Yeah, it has elements of Metroidvania.
I'm gonna vomit.
Funko Fusion?
Yes.
Okay.
Retro-inspired.
Retro-inspired. Yeah, Lego game.
So I've played like 10-ish hours of the original way back when. I'm a big fan.
Brave.
I like a lot of immersive sims. Prey is one of my favorite games. I love the Deus Ex games, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like maybe one of the reasons why I bounced off that is because I felt that it was more like
tread lightly. I know what you're gonna say.
I don't want to say limiting in your options, but like it felt, at least in those opening hours, I don't know, obviously it might get a lot more dense as you go on, I'd imagine. But and this is an unfair comparison point because this is a remake of a game that came out in the 90s. As a comparison point, in the game Prey, you get this item called a goo gun, which basically breaks the game right at the start. You get a lot of options that you just have access to. You can get around things. Whereas System Shock is more methodical or intentional with its progression, right? Like, you have to go to certain places to get keycards. You have to do certain things, and you're going to get the shotgun at this point because this is the level in which you get, there's a shotgun here. Obviously, there's different places we can get stuff later on, like some of the extra items, etc. You can skip things, but it's
so what you're saying is that they give you a very easy way to sequence break very early on.
Yes, whereas I feel like it's changed just where I kind of like got off and it felt more open where I'm going between levels rather than just on the one level that you start on. But it felt more like there was a clear path of progression that I was going on rather than like this is a station that you can freely explore and like figure out how to get to the next levels, I guess.
So you clicked less with a more linear structure than you would the more open-ended design of more
exactly.
more modern Sims.
And even though, and that's really, really, I acknowledge how completely unfair that is, that I'm comparing it to games that have come out after and are directly inspired by games like System
iterative,
Shock. Directly iterative. But it is just kind of one of those things where you're like, if you're a big fan of the genre and you have played those games where they give you those options, it's harder to go back to, at least it felt harder for me to go back to what inspired it originally, where it feels more limited in that way.
It's interesting because I remember listening to the episode where you guys gushed about Dishonored, and it almost made me want to revisit it. But the thing is, I'm going to get lynched for this, but I'm not crazy about Dishonored. It just doesn't click very well with me. I respect it. I understand why people like it. I just can't really get into it. I've played it to completion at once, and I've played like the first half of it at least 2 or 3 times. I can't. I don't know why. But I just can't. I can't get into it.
So, I mean, sometimes that's just how it is with games.
I know, but like that. But I'm the inverse of Cameron in this instance because he will sing that game's praises up and down, and the relative non-linearity of it is part of the appeal for him. Whereas I'm the opposite. I don't know exactly why it's not doing anything for me, but it's not. And I play System Shock, and the relatively more linear design I have zero problems with, partially because, I'm very used to games of that era being designed that way, Halo, but also because I don't necessarily mind the lack of player agency on a large structural scale, because I'm still being given choices in terms of how I choose to play the game moment to moment.
Right.
Because I get to balance my own resources and decide what parts of the game I want to lean into or out of. I think that was enough, mixed with the fact that you don't immediately know how to solve every problem you're being given. I wasn't too worried about having to juggle which task I want to approach. I don't know. For me, I don't think that I've never found that particularly interesting. As long as you parentheses video game are giving me an interesting thing to do, and I care about that, I don't really care as much whether or not it was my choice to do it. I just like whenever you jangle the keys in front of me, I clap and I point.
And I think the most important part of an immersive sim, which this game obviously does wonderfully, is the setting and the world that you're in and how it builds that and how you explore it out. And
it brings you in at moment one. You're like,
I mean, it's such is the case with most any sim in my experience.
For sure. And it does it exceptionally well. It's just, that's kind of why I felt like I bounced off. I can't wait to get lynched in the comments by you could have sequence break right at the start.
I mean,
you missed the fucking skip, you idiot.
Cameron, you love the part where you have to either have already written down the number at the end of each level when you blow up the woman's brain,
I've heard about that,
or
actually.
You have to backtrack through every single level in the game in order to get it, and then fucking go back. You love that. You love that part.
He's not been to that part. That was a spoiler for the worst part of the game.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really sorry, System Shock fans, that I just spoiled for you the most unfun part of that game that they chose to keep. It's not even that bad. I liked the game so much that I didn't mind doing it too much.
I think it's quicker now.
Yeah. No, if it was in the original game, I would have quit whenever it told me to do that. Actually just fuck off.
One thing that I found really interesting is how much quicker it is to get into the mood to play the game. The game is really good at bringing you into the world. I mean, the original is fine at it.
The first ever to do it.
I mean, yeah, but
it's fine.
You know what I mean?
It's fine, but it's fine. Asterisk. It's insane that they did it in 1994.
I just found it really easy to get into the game because of the fact that I'm talking about specifically the intro cutscene being playable, and you walk around your apartment and all that.
There's a lot,
and that just, you immediately understand what type of game this is, and it's just so good at putting you into the.
There's a lot to be said about really fun, clever, interesting, goofy adaptations with this game, because most of that intro sequence is a completely new thing.
It is, yeah,
and it was a pretty bold artistic choice to make, because System Shock is so beloved, and if you're going to change things, completely redesigning the introductory sequence is a big fucking move to make.
Yeah,
But
I mean, even I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that even the beginning medical bay has like so many gigantic changes.
I wouldn't know.
I played it, and I'm gonna be honest, I have like the worst fucking memory.
It's fair.
I have the worst memory, but I remember a few times where I was just like, this is similar but so fucking different that it feels like a completely different game.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I kept playing, I would have constantly been like, oh, this is different from that. This is different from that. And I mean, obviously, because it's not the same game, it's like a remake. But
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting to see
We're
how
breaking new ground of observational skill here.
Whoa, new video game is different. But I do think it's really interesting how many times they actually just outright do something fully different.
Thinking about setting up like a new web game, like Wordle, but it's just like spot the difference, where I show you 2 screenshots, but they're
Yes.
just of 2 different video games.
And then you have to figure out what's different about.
Yeah, I show you
Yeah,
a
yes.
screenshot of like Halo and then Hollow Knight, and I'm like, what's different?
The bug, dumbass.
This is actually a really interesting question from the community. Hey, through.
I thought you were going to start by being like, oh, this is actually a really interesting question because I see the grunt in the middle of the Halo screenshot and he does not look like the Hollow Knight. So
The Hey Through asks, this is about the yellow paint, but how did you guys feel playing the game when it doesn't guide you on where to go by giving you a nav marker or even a task list? Do you think there should be an option to enable such things when the original didn't have it?
Can I just say I hate the term yellow paint so much?
yeah, it's incredibly
it's
reductive and stupid and makes me
so
want to put a bullet in my
reductive.
head. Yeah. Okay, so I've given this quite a bit of thought. There are games that allow you to toggle that.
Motherfucker is pondering.
Yeah, like the tapes.
Yes.
There are games that exist that allow you to toggle that. One of the more recent Tomb Raiders is a good example of that, where they lean into the yellow paint as a way of directing the player, but you can go into the settings and turn it off. And what you'll find if you do that is that the yellow paint was essential to that game's design in terms of directing the player, because when it's not there, you don't know what to fucking do. And you see a bunch of assets that look like maybe you could grab onto them, and no, you can't. And you kind of just got to figure it out. And it's miserable. I'm going to steal a lot of my observations from a very small YouTube channel I really like.
You know what we should do? We should not name drop them.
Yeah. His name is Caleb Gammon. That's CalebGamman. They have very little subscriber. You should go watch them. But they made the really, really good observation that I'm going to use a really annoying word. They posit that the yellow paint issue is symptomatic of a larger issue with AAA game design, which is that in our endless pursuit of hyper-realistic graphics, we lose the forest for the trees, and we end up focusing on the realism of such minute detail that it becomes increasingly difficult to direct a player's attention because everything is super detailed and realistic and graphics and fuck. Whereas if more focus and care was given to the overall visual design, these would not be issues you would have to grapple with so much. You look at more stylized video games that play around with visual aesthetics more, they don't need to lean into this because they can just very clearly direct your attention. Astro Bot springs to mind, but that is an extreme case.
Yeah, I was going to say like platformers and stuff like that, where the play area is very rigidly designed, defined.
Let's pull it back. Fucking Dishonored is a great example of this.
Yep.
Because it's just well designed. It's fucking awesome graphics, but it's very stylized, and it gives them a lot of leeway with art direction to pull your attention in specific ways without sacrificing its nonlinearity. This is a solved problem, but if you want everything to look like a fucking photograph, the thing about photographs is that it's really hard to direct your attention with them. And so choices need to be made in order to draw your attention to certain places. Otherwise, you aren't going to know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
And so if you want to complain about yellow paint, what you need to actually be complaining about, in my opinion, that I stole, is that every single video game that uses yellow paint desperately wants to look like a real fucking like epic CG movie instead of like a video game that's good at directing your attention.
Also, I want to bring it to System Shock here because I think it is just, if we're focusing on the yellow paint part of the question, I think it's a misnomer to set to the idea that System Shock doesn't have that design. Because every single openable door has a fucking glowing light
Giant
on it.
green light.
Like, it's constantly like trying to show you where to go via the map. No,
I'm sorry. Please.
No, fucking interrupt me.
I was just going to steal another observation from a YouTuber.
That's all you do these days.
Jesus Christ, does this guy even have one opinion?
No, I just I remember him saying this, and I laughed and pointed at the screen because it's like it's the most gamer observation in the universe to see yellow paint and be like, this is breaking my immersion. Because the whole fucking point of the yellow paint is for you to notice it, because that's how you know where to go.
Yeah.
So if you're complaining that you're noticing the yellow paint, it's just the most like, wow, dude, you noticed it? That's fucking awesome. Dude, you're such an observer.
Let's be real though, like the people who yell the most about fucking shit like that are the people who needed the most almost 100% of the time. Like
exactly.
It's so fucking...
Yeah. They're the same people who don't realize that we've been doing this in slightly more subtle ways for the past 20 years with, the example of System Shock, the flashing doors, or like the Valve classic of just putting a really big spotlight on the area you're supposed to go.
Or the valve being red, the barrel being red.
Yeah, like, the fucking red barrels.
Dude,
no one bitches
up.
about red barrels because it's fun when you shoot them.
Yeah, it's like, it's literally the same thing. That's why I genuinely hate when people just start going off on that type of design, because it's like, who cares?
Why is the floor blue and has an arrow telling me where to go?
You are literally actually a video game, like you need to fucking...
Yellow barrel, Thanos frown. Red barrel, Thanos smile.
It's fucking CinemaSins critique is what it is.
Oh my god, it is CinemaSins critique. I'm gonna vomit!
Talking about like having a nav marker or a task list. Because that's talking about the quest design, I guess, is what you'd call it, or like the objective design, right? Where in System Shock, you kind of have a general goal of, we need to shut down Shodan. But the way of doing that is fed to you via audio logs. They're not like audio logs in like more modern games where it's like lore tidbits or, it'll give you a fucking number. It's not like Dishonored where like it gives you a number to a fucking safe or something like that. It's integral.
Yeah, it's whenever it was good. This is whenever audio logs were like a good design choice before they became a compromise for not wanting to make a story in your video game good.
So the thing with that is that you can miss things, right? You can listen to an audio log, not being paying attention because you're fighting a guy, and you now have to go back and figure out what the hell you actually need to do by re-listening to it or reading through it. And it's not clearly defined to you. I mean, it is. In the starting area, it's like, hey, this is how you're going to figure out how to do things, right? Is by finding notes.
Yeah, they make it impossible to miss.
But someone still might, I don't know, get past that and still not think much about it or just get lost, etc. So, like, maybe for, like, accessibility reasons, there could be, like, a toggleable thing in settings. Like, I wouldn't care, but it is just a thing of, like...
Oh, man, some people might.
Yeah, for sure people would, but again, you just don't have to engage with it if you don't want to.
Just don't default it to on.
Yeah, don't default it to on, and then say, like, hey, this is going to, like, impact the experience of the game and how it's intended, etc.
But this illustrates the fundamental difference, right? Is that yellow paint is a concession as a design. I read it as an admittance of like, okay, this game is not very visually clear on its own. We need a bright thing to direct people's attention because otherwise they're going to get lost. On the flip side, System Shock was designed from the ground up with you needing to pay attention in mind. And so if you were to make it easier for people to see those things, I'm completely okay with it being called an accessibility thing because that's not the default way of playing, whereas yellow paint is. So, like, if you were to design your video games better so that you don't have to rely upon these visual tells, then I would be all for yellow paint as an accessibility thing that you could turn on, especially for people who are, like, visually impaired, for example. I mean, The Last of Us Part 2 is really good with that, wherever they just change everything to be bright, colors to illustrate things in high contrast.
Yeah.
But like it's a chicken or the egg problem, where the chicken is making a good video game and the egg is needing to put a band-aid on your shitty visual design. System Shock, the They designed a good video game first, so it wouldn't be a problem. But you play the new Tomb Raider, it's not like, the paint is integral. Take it away, and the video game's worse.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I think it is like just how it's how the game's designed. It's you
go play Resi 4 and get a yellow paint removal mod. Same shit. Sorry, that game's awesome, but that's where it started, and it does the same shit. That game is brown as fuck. They needed a color to tell you what's a thing.
Just like Pose.
I also think getting lost in System Shock is part of the game.
Oh yeah,
it's a fucking it's a giant space station. Shit's gone to fuck, and you're like you don't know where the hell you are. It's your character's first time on the space station.
Yeah,
you shouldn't know where you're going. You shouldn't know where to find.
I mean,
things.
Feeling lost is a good thing in this game. Like I that's one of the things that pushes me personally to like actually explore the game world and engage with it.
Yeah, if you're lost, you want to get unlost.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
I mean, it's not fun for everybody, and that's fine. Not everything is for everybody.
Yeah, not everyone is awesome.
But for me, I like that.
Yeah.
Jack O'Neill 451 asks a related question, but how do you think the remake compares to System Shock 2 and the BioShock games? And do you think with the Shock remake and Judas, we're in for more games where you eat out of trash and hit mutated people with wrenches? Mutated people.
I'm shocked that BioShock is so simple compared to System Shock. It's hard to even compare them. Like I struggle to even think of BioShock as an ImSim. It feels more like a linear shooter with ImSim elements to me.
I say the same thing whenever I replay BioShock yearly, and every time I play it, I'm just like, what makes it really, like, what actually makes it an ImSim?
There's a megalomaniac over the comms calling you an idiot.
Not really. Atlas doesn't really call you an idiot until later.
Yeah,
he calls you fucking awesome, and he asks you polite questions.
He says, yeah. Would you please?
Kindly.
Would you please? Would you pretty please?
Hey, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his beb?
Yeah,
fuck you,
dude. Oh no, that's actually my favorite quote.
Wait, no, says the man in the no.
No, says the no.
What was the question again?
Basically, it's asking how do you think it compares to the BioShock and System Shock 2 games, and if we think we're going to see more games like this now because there's like Judas.
I'm going to start. I think we should start answering that question just with the how does it compare to System Shock 2?
Yeah, that's like a 2.5 question.
Because I'm going to be honest, I don't think it even comes close. System Shock 2 is a masterpiece, and I don't know if it can be. It's really hard, man.
Okay, I'll push back on that.
Don't.
Sorry, you're right. Just listen. I really need rent this month.
Oh yeah, because you get paid per word.
Yeah, we get paid per appearance.
Shut the fuck up.
No. If I don't show up, if I didn't show up here, I wouldn't be paying my fucking electric bill.
You don't need it. What do you do again? Like YouTube.
Your laptop has a battery. Fucking
Dummy.
idiot.
Go for it.
I enjoy the first and second one for slightly different reasons. Sometimes the first one's a lot more streamlined. The second one is a lot more intricate. But that comes with ups and downs. The second one, as much as it is fucking awesome, there's a lot of systems in it, like the Shock, that if you do not engage with correctly, will lead you to a very infuriating, bad playthrough. You need to kind of know what stats not to invest in.
Okay, you know what? I can see that.
I respect it.
I am looking at this game with when we're talking about System Shock 2, I feel like I have like the goggles,
Yeah.
the ones.
Yeah, the ones of nostalgia.
I think it's also important to point out how different these games actually are as well. Like in terms of how they play, what kind of like what they're even going for is like different. The only thing that's the same is that
Their visual aesthetic, especially too.
they just take place in the same world as pretty much and like you have a wrench.
It is, yeah. I mean, one of them, it feels like a tank. The other one feels like Thief. It's a pretty big difference.
Okay, I am wrong. I will admit.
No, I mean you're not entirely wrong. I mean, like this, the second one is they're different. They're different. They
are different.
There's a lot of strengths and weaknesses to each one, and that's why I would recommend playing both. Is because if you
obviously
have problems with either one of them, its prequel and or sequel may fix your problems with it.
I still don't. I still think that System Shock 2 is kind of untouchable.
It's pretty kino, but you just have to play it the right way.
I just don't think that, like, that's one thing, because I did stream the game on the channel, and that's one thing that somebody asked was like, do you think it would be worth it to remake System Shock 2? And to me, I don't think it needs one.
Yeah, I don't think it needs one.
Like,
either.
I think the only thing I would change is obviously like maybe the stats.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it plays so. I think it still plays great.
Well, I mean, it feels like dog shit to play, but I find that charming. So
I don't know if I'd even say that.
If you're a graphics nerd, I would love a System Shock 2 remake with the System Shock Remake graphics. Like, that shit looks great. I think.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I disagree. I mean, okay, well, this is where my goggles come on, though, is because, I grew up playing Halo, and this is so much like that because it's from the same era. I fucking adore how System Shock 2 looks, and if I got a remake, I'd be split right down the middle, 50-50. Half of me would be like, I would love to see what artists do to reinterpret this masterpiece with a modern lens. And the other half of me would be like,
don't touch baby, don't touch
God
baby.
damn it. You're making it really easy for people to ignore and not play the original one, which also looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's fair. As for the second part of the question, where it's like, if we're in for more of these types of games.
I mean, they were already announced.
Yeah. I don't think necessarily we're in for like more specifically because of like the success of this or Judas coming out. I think we're just gonna get the same amount as we always get. It's kind of like it's not the next fucking
Five Nights at Freddy,
Tarkov or trend in gaming. I think it's just like
I think that's a good way to put it. I don't think it's a trend in gaming. I think it just is. It's just a good game, and there are some people that will replicate it. Like dare
I say it, that's good.
Yeah, like Arcane right now, they're doing another MSIM. Like,
do we know that Blade's gonna be an MSIM?
Oh, why did I say Arcane? I didn't mean Arcane. I meant the guy who founded Arcane that left. Fuck. They made Weird West. Fuck.
Yeah. They're doing
they're doing they're doing something, brother. Yeah. But no, I think people are just making those games because they like making those games, and I don't think there's anything else or anything more to it.
And it's a niche, right? Like there are people who love these games will always fucking play these games.
Yeah, let's be real. This is not for everybody, and that's totally fine. I'm happy that it's not for everybody because it makes gaming more varied, that we have games for people that like very niche things. And gaming cool. Yeah. Fucking all that to say that I really enjoyed my time with it. I'm probably going to get back to it.
I should give it another go. I feel like I'm not being fair.
The puzzles are really fun, actually. I like
Brendan, you too.
At first, I did have issues with the fucking the pipe puzzle thing because I was like, "How the fuck does this work?" And once it clicked, I love the pipe I kind of want a game just with those puzzles.
The pipe puzzle.
It's so fun. I kind of want a game just with fucking those types of puzzles.
The electricity shit. Oh, it's so good.
I love it.
All right, my favorite part about that is that it doesn't fucking put you in a UI menu. You're just like there.
Oh, you're Ooh, actually, that's a really cool thing. That it does so many steps to always keep you in the game. That's amazing.
It keeps you feeling really tense and unsafe at all times.
Yes.
It's so stressful.
Yeah, dude, you can just have a goofy little guy behind you going.
Yeah, it's crazy how this game is just so stress inducing. It's one of the biggest like even more so than System Shock 2. I just feel like I'm gonna have a panic attack when I play it, but like /pause.
Let's wrap it up, boys. Thanks everyone for coming.
Yes.
If you guys want to vote on the next game, join Patreon, and also
it's going to be on our Patreon.
Suggest in the comments below if there's any game we choose from there the list that goes to the patrons, so you can have a hand in it.
Yep. Next month, obviously, it's going to be spooky.
You guys should suggest something awesome.
Next month, it's going to be the spooky games. It's going to be probably an episode on retro throwback horror games, which we talked a little bit about at the start of this. But if you have any suggestions specifically for that, like, I don't know, I should not give examples because then everybody's going to say that example.
Rule of Rose. Detroit become a human.
Brendan.
Actually,
Michigan report from hell.
Can I just say I think Rule of Rose would genuinely be interesting because that game fucking sucks to play, but it's one of the best.
I meant to say Michigan Report from Hell instead of Detroit Become Human.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. This episode would not have been possible without the help from our patrons, such as Alan Diver, Bland But Funny, Boopaloo, Brain Soup, Brass, Cassandra Crash, Chips, Chris Chapman, DX Studios, Edward McMillan, Eric Scott Gillies, Ethereal, Geef, Generic Phoenix, Guy Beam, Invictus Echo, Jaybird, Lambda Man, Leo the Geotech, Mr. Starchy, Mr. Shirt, Pharmacy Fruit Bat, Preston Husk, Random Diamonds, Rat Supreme, Ryan Rocket, Skelicopter, Spherical May, The Frostace, Ulbert, Wool9455, and Woodstock. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.